Hi there. You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. This is the way.
Hi there, it's your second favorite DP right here, okay? No, that's Deadpool, you silly little Hufflepuff. Anyways, I'm gonna need you to shut up that pretty little mouth of yours and pay attention because the show's about to start, alright? And, I don't know about you, but I know who's my vote for sexiest ex-soldier turned pop culture show host. Alright, enough foreplay, let's get on with the show.
Broadcasting live from the basement of a Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome one and all. Today is July 11, 2023. This is episode 138 of Pop Culture Warrior. It's the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. Like the little box says, I am CQ. I am your Pop Culture Warrior. And joining me tonight, he's the man in the bubble for the night. He is the Marine with the mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our friend, Mad Mike. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
Wow. That was the most energetic I think I've ever heard from Mad Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, that was you're seeing something special. You're seeing a once in a lifetime. It's like seeing a blue and green shooting star. Like it just doesn't happen.
The Aurora Borealis.
We just witnessed the Aurora Borealis of energy from Mad Mike. Hey, do me a solid, bro. Scoot your camera just a little bit. You're not quite centered.
Which way?
So that you're in the center.
I'm
There you
in
go.
the center of mine.
There you go. And then maybe
Good.
down a little bit, whatever. There we go. Beautiful. Want to see that beautiful beam footage right there you got going on. Welcome, everybody. We were gone for 2 weeks. As you can see, we're rested. We're full of energy. We're by Mike's wonderful intro. The mad is gone. He is happy-go-lucky Mike tonight. No more mad Mike. Are you in the middle of an earthquake? Hold on, man. Are you okay?
Gotta move the camera now.
Are you okay? Do you need help? Blink once if you need help. All right. Dude, so much has happened over the last 2 weeks. Thank you guys for just pouring in the love already. I guess you missed me as much as I missed you guys, because we've got a ton of love already in the chats. Lance wants to know what mic do I use. This is the Beacon, Beacn. Beacon makes a mic.
They also talking about me. I use the cheapest one I could find on Amazon.
Yes, Mike will send out the affiliate link to the $20 mic on Amazon. This is the Beacon mic. It also has, if you're familiar with like a Go XLR, it has its own kind of version of the Go XLR, which I really love for a number of different reasons. But that's more technical. We can side story that at another point. Real quick, shout out everybody. Well, first, before anything, the newest announcement of the Pop Culture Warrior and WTF Nation Radio family. Now we are also live on Kick. So if you have a Kick account, or if you would do me the great pleasure of creating a Kick account, it's free. It's basically the same thing as Twitch, only not run by a bunch of corporate greedy people. So we are live right now on Kick, as well as Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all the other places. So check us out on Kick. We already got a couple chats in there. So appreciate you guys, all of you, all of the shows out there. Every one of our shows, from the Sports Bar, Sergeant's Time, the Monday edition, they're all on Kick now. So go show some love. Give us a follow. That way we can, we can make some money on this, because apparently they're going to be just giving out money on Kick. So we trying to get that. We trying to get that cash. G.I.Lo wants to know, what about a Threads channel? Dude, you know what? After this, right after this show, after I unstream, when I turn off the stream, I'll go create a Threads account. I was thinking about it and I was like, am I going to do it? Am I going to do it? Whatever. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it just because you mentioned it. So quick shout out to all you that are tuning in, from Heath to Joe, you got Angry Elf, Leah, not mom, Spanky, my God, Estella, Lance, who else is out there? Ray Byrne says, I love this show. Man, I love you, Ray Byrne. I don't know you, but I love you. Right here.
A fake account to me.
Heath wants to know when the OnlyFans drop. Man, that's what
It's
the
been
Patreon's
out,
for.
man.
It's been out.
It's got like one half a
It's been out.
subscriber.
Half of a subscriber. Pete, I see you there, brother. Scott, G.I.Lo again. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. So much to cover tonight. Tonight's going to be such a huge freaking episode. I'm so over the moon excited. Our guest tonight, joining us later tonight, is the incomparable David Hayter. Okay, whether you know him as the voice of Solid Snake, here's looking at you, kid. Like, that voice. If you know him as one of the screenwriters for XMEN, X2, Scorpion King, The Watchmen, bro, this guy's got a resume, a legit pedigree of some of the biggest like, if you were gonna make a pop culture, what's the monument with the presidents? God damn it, with the 4 president heads. Mount Rushmore.
Mount
Jesus
Rushmore.
Christ.
Jeez.
I drew a big old brain fart. If you had a Mount Rushmore, a pop culture Mount Rushmore, he'd be a hard spot not to argue for. You know what I mean? Whether it's TV, movies, video games. I mean, the dude's legit. So that's coming up later tonight. God bless him, love him. Can't wait to talk to him. And what else? Oh, before I forget, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. We have a giveaway going on right now. It ends Thursday. Get in on it. Get in on it. What it is this coming weekend is MGS Con. It is a convention, like a Comic-Con, but it is solely built around the solid Metal Gear franchise. Voice actors, the creators, the music behind it. There's cosplay, there's music, like it's everything. All Metal Gear the whole weekend. I will be there in LA. What we're doing is a giveaway is they have digital tickets. So if you can't travel to LA to be there in person, you'll be able to watch all the panels. You'll be able to watch, the contest. You'll be able to, they're going to have like people walking around live streaming it. So it'll be like you're living through vicariously through someone else as they walk around. So you'll have that, as well as I am going to get a print from the convention signed by all the cast and crew of the Metal Gear franchise as a whole. Every single person that has put their hands on that work and is at the convention will sign it, and I will be giving that away to one lucky fan. And then, obviously we got David Hayter tonight, Solid League himself. Who knows, maybe if you're lucky, he'll toss you a shout out too, be like, hey, Billy Bob, thanks for watching Pop Culture Warrior, in his...
Already selected a winner? Damn. Billy Bob.
Billy
Lucky.
Bob, you lucky bastard. So we have that going on. All you have to do to enter, find the post. It's on the Facebook page. It's on the Twitter page. It's on the Instagram page. Shit, it's on the TikTok. Find it wherever. Yeah, wherever it is, find it. Like it. Make sure you're following us, which I'm sure you already are, and share it. And you will be entered into the giveaway. It's going to be a random name. And now, and this is how awesome I am. I'm giving up. So if you, let's say Mad Mike, for instance, shares it on Facebook, and he shares it on Twitter, and he shares it on Instagram, that's 3 entries. He's going to get 3 entries into the competition, into the giveaway, into the random drawing. So for every place you like it, share it, love it, comment it, whatever, you'll get an entry. And, make sure you use, I think we were using the hashtag PCW giveaway. That way I can find it. Last time I did a giveaway, some of them I couldn't see because of people's, privacy settings. But if you tag, hashtag PCW giveaway, I'll be able to find them. And then, yeah. And yes, that's right. King Smith in the comments, Patreon guys will always get entries just like they always do. So if you're a Patreon member, that will be separate entries. So that's how, if you're a Patreon member, whatever tier you are, you'll get your automatic entries. Plus, if you actually like and share it and all that, you'll also get those entries as well. So you're quadrupling your chances to win. So lots of ways to win. I want somebody that loves Metal Gear. I hope they win it, that they can appreciate it and how awesome this thing is. So that's super cool. Whew, so much to cover. Also, huh?
I said right? What? Just keep talking about yourself. Go ahead, man.
Okay, I will. So this past weekend, I was at Contropolis. It's like Metropolis, but with a con in front of it. Contropolis, New Jersey. It's a touring convention. They got a bunch of different stops, but it was in New Jersey this weekend. Say again?
Full of ex-cons?
Full of ex-cons and current cons, ex-cons, current cons. So I got to be careful because I want them to, invite me back again next time. It was fine. The convention was quaint. I'll tell you one thing. I will say one thing about it, and I'm going to say this. It was smaller than some conventions, like Philadelphia, New York, DC, much bigger. This was a little smaller.
Those are some of the biggest ones,
obviously. So
it's
smaller. It's smaller. Not as many big vendors. It's a lot of local, semi-local, vendors that came. So you're not going to see like the Marvel booth or anything like that. Much smaller. But to their credit, I give them two things to their credit. One, they had a pretty impressive guest lineup. I mean, like 30 plus entertainment guests, ranging from, video games, cartoons, TV, movies, etc. A couple like social media people, the guy that looks like Peter Griffin and, dresses like Peter Griffin.
Oh yeah, that
So
guy.
there's a couple of those. If I'm being honest, there was no Chris Evans, right? There was no big name, but they had some really decent guests. So like Emily Swallow, who plays the armorer on The Mandalorian, she was there. Joey Fatone from NSYNC, James Murray, who's one of the Impractical Jokers, Ahmed Best, who was the actor behind Jar Jar Binks, and came back for that one Jedi role afterwards just to make it up to him. So there was a bunch of that, people that were in the Star Wars universe, people that were in the two actors from Home Alone, like the old, like
Really?
they were the
Like
McAllister.
what? 3 or 4 or the original 2?
Yeah, no, it was like the original. Remember the older brother was like Spike or I don't know what his name was in the. He was the
I think it
dick
was-
older brother.
Yeah.
That
guy?
He was there. One of the sisters was there. Then they had two of the actors from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So
wow.
if you remember April O'Neil in the first one, I think Judith Hoag or something like that, she was there. The original April O'Neil. The kid, if you remember part 2, when they trained that kid with them, he was there. Ernie Reyes, Dante Bosco. Like there's just a bunch
cool.
of really like people that you I think you feel like you have an emotional tie to, right? They're part of your childhood or whatnot. I'm a huge animation fan, so Jim Cummings was there, who's the voice of Darkwing Duck. I mean, come on, I love Darkwing Duck. I mean, hundreds of characters. He was also like Pooh Bear and Tigger and like all the classic animation cartoons. Bill Farmer, who was the voice of Goofy. The original, like if you watch the Goofy
nice.
movie, who didn't see
Yeah.
a Goofy movie with Max and Goofy? He was the voice of Goofy. So all these incredible actors and people that have a long history in pop culture, they were all there. And I'm going to go on record. This is where I'm going to go on record. I did say there was 2 things I liked about it. One was that it was a decent selection of guests and variety of guests. 2, it wasn't that crowded. It wasn't that crowded. You and I have been to conventions where you're going to stand hours in line to see anybody, just about anybody, no matter where they rank.
Even if any of those people were there,
Yeah.
you would still wait.
You wait hours. When I say there were 3 or 4 lines that would get a little busy, 8 people waiting. Most of the lines, you'd have to wait for like 2 people. Like that was
nice.
most of the lines, the large majority. There were a few, so like James Murray, Joey Fatone, I think Emily Swallow was one of them that would consistently have a big line. But it's still like if I'm thinking if I bought a ticket, obviously I didn't because I had press passes, but if I had bought a ticket, like it seemed worth it. All that said, everyone was super nice and super inviting. And when I went around and I said, hey, would you like to do a 5-minute, 4-question, 5-question quick interview so I can put on my socials and stuff like that? Everybody was super accommodating. Everybody was super nice. I'm going to right here, right now, tell you who said no. Because you know what? Fuck it.
Burn 'em.
Let's call it.
Let me see if I can guess. Let me guess.
Okay.
Of the people you mentioned already,
I didn't mention
were
who said
any
no,
of
by the
them
way.
were any of them no's out of the people you mentioned already?
One of them.
Joey Fatone. That's my guess.
Actually, 3 of them. You're right. 3 of them. And yes, Joey Fatone was one of them.
I knew it. That guy seems like a dick.
So I'll put it out there. Again, there was like 30 guests. We ended up filming about 12 interviews, and we had a lot more like lined up. We had like 18 or 20 of them that would do it. We just ran out of time. So we got about 11 or 12 interviews. The ones that said no, I'll put it out there. Joey Fatone, no thank you. I said, hey man, it's for the troops. It's for the vets and the military. No thank you. James Murray, no thank you. Now, they both had the same manager that was there, so it's both.
Could be the guy that's
it's both at the same time. The other one that said no was the Jar Jar Binks actor, Ahmed Best. He was a no thank you. And then the one that surprised, no, here's one more. David Yost, the original Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston on the original Blue Ranger. Now,
we met him before, and he was a dick when we met him.
I was going to put it out there.
I mean,
that
you got one thing you're going for you, buddy. You should be a little more appreciative when people even recognize you.
We had great success with the Green Ranger, with the Red Ranger, the Black Ranger. Like we've had good luck, but the Blue Ranger has always been less than accommodating.
Douchebag.
Put it nicely. So the last one, and here's the one that surprised me the most, that said no, but gave a good enough reason. Lou Ferrigno, the original Hulk, said no. And it's just hilarious to me because he was on my show.
Yeah, you already
interviewed him a couple weeks ago.
I already know. Get out of here.
But he was the nicest of the no's in that he goes, listen, it was the Sunday, so it was the last day. He'd been there for 3 days. He goes, look, it's the last day. He goes, when I do interviews, I do them to, get people interested to come out. So we're going to be closing in a few hours and this is going to come out till later. So there's really no point. So I said, I respect that. I mean, I get it. He's an older fella and, and whatnot, but so many great people said yes. I didn't even name all the people that we did do interviews with. And so keep an eye on the Facebook, on the Twitter, on the TikTok, on the YouTube. We're going to post all the videos individually. I usually, this is how many interviews we did. I'll usually do like a recap video of the convention and put like the 4 or 5 interviews we get. There were so many interviews. I'm like, I can't put it all into one video. I can't. It'll be an hour-long video, and who's gonna like scrub to find the one interview they want to see? So I'm gonna be posting them all individually, so you'll be able to find them easier. But yeah, so Contrapolis was phenomenal, great. We ended up shooting like 0 content outside of the interviews just because we didn't have enough time. So
where was that at?
That was in New Jersey. That was at the Meadowlands Exposition Center. Didn't realize when I decided to drive out there, like it was literally across the water from New York City. Like
oh wow!
Parked my car. I'm like, well, that's the Empire State Building right there, and like I was literally like right on the water of New Jersey and New York. So that's it was a bit of a drive. Let's see some of the comments that have come in. Didn't remember Mount Rushmore. If you get Hayter to sign a cardboard box as a prize, I'll spread the gospel. Ooh, get David Hayter to sign a cardboard box. That's kind of funny.
That's clever.
That's kind of funny. We'll remind me. We'll bring that one up. Time to add them to the list of people who won't come on. Yeah, on the big board of people who won't come on the show. We'll add.
If they're not going to do a 2-minute interview, they're not going to come on the show.
That's true. So. That's true. And there were 3 other people that said no, but literally said no. I want to come on your show. Like I don't want to do this. I want to be on the show. And I went, okay, fair enough. And I got like their emails and their contact info. So a few of them are going to be coming on later on. So that's good too. I'm so disappointed in Joey Fatone. Aren't we all? Yeah. Oh, hey, David Cunningham putting in mgscon.com. There you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. And Austin Daniel, good show. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's the little things. It's the little things, man. Just people just saying thank you and good job. It means the world. Anyway. So what else? I was gone for 2 weeks. One of those weeks, I was on a Disney cruise because that's what parents do when they have kids. They take them on Disney cruises. So had a great time. Not going to bore you guys with the Disney cruise stuff. But while I was on the cruise, the cruise left like a day or 2 before Indiana Jones came out in theaters to its massive success, quotes. But as part of, Disney being Disney, they're like, hey, it's our movie. They were showing it in the theater on the cruise.
That's awesome.
So, but here's the funny part. I have a picture of me. I'm gonna post it later. I didn't have access to the web while I was on the boat, but I'm in the theater by myself. I literally saw
No one
Indiana
else
Jones
wanted to watch it.
2 days before it came out in a theater. I mean, it's on this cruise. It's a big theater. Middle of the theater by myself, like I did like a panoramic view, going like da 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 da. So I don't know. They showed it multiple times. They showed it like 3 times a day. So I'm sure people caught it at some point. But when I watched it, I was in there by myself. The review, I saw that when I got back, a certain The Actual King Smith had posted a review of Indiana Jones on my behalf on the pages, and he gave it a fairly favorable review. I'm gonna go ahead and ask, have you seen it?
Yeah, we watched it this last weekend.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, it's like the last one. I don't know. They're played out. Even they've always been a little slow, and it's the same crap that's in every one of them. Like, just rehash the same stuff, and it's like,
yeah. I mean,
we need 5 of them. The last one really ticked me off with the alien nonsense.
Yeah, that was a lot of people didn't like that.
It's just, and you guys 80 years old, like,
I
you
think
wouldn't be doing any of that.
that's
Like,
what-
I could barely do that stuff. Jeez Louise. I
like
can't even take out the garbage with pulling my back, throwing my back out. This guy's riding like horses and all this crap.
Yeah.
It's like, no way, dude. No way.
If I rode a horse the way he did in that movie, I would be in the hospital in traction for months.
Yeah.
For months, if I did that. And he's doing this at 80-something years old. Now, so I you know me, I try to be optimistic. I try to look on the bright side. I try to benefit of the doubt and to suspend disbelief. And like, you can go, well, if you remember in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he drank from the fucking the cup, so he has eternal, youthfulness. And okay, but like, even he's playing it up in the movie that like, oh, everything hurts and I'm old and I can't move. And so I'm like, if you're gonna lean into one way of like he has the vigor of a young man that could do this, then lean into that. If you're gonna lean into that he's the old dude criminal, I can't. I mean, it's just
no.
that guy.
It was like
takes one
that would
punch.
be like if you had Sean Connery when he was playing his dad,
Yeah,
doing all the action stunts. Like, it just wouldn't work.
It
That's
just
the way they
doesn't.
should have went with it.
yeah.
But
There's a
he's
great
trying to punch people. Like, come on, dude. I know you got osteoporosis. You would
One
have
hit.
shattered every bone in your
one
hand.
hit, and he's just a pile of dust.
Yeah, like, it's just something we didn't need, and I don't know why he keeps saying he's done, and he keeps doing it. I guess he gets too many tickets, like too many fines for crashing at airports and stuff. I don't know.
I mean, there's a great clip that just came out recently of him doing press for the last one, which was like 13, 14 years ago. And he was in the Conan O'Brien show, and they're like, it was like, oh, would you come back for India again? And he's like, I'm playing when I'm in my 80s. That's ridiculous. Like that. And here we are.
Here he is.
Here we are watching Indy in his 80s do it. And I just the whole thing is just ugh.
No, they like, just cut it off, guys. Stop. We're good.
I just make it, I don't know. I don't know, man. I got nothing.
Just
I just
add him into the Expendables with every other washed up actor.
well,
Bring
I mean,
him
he's
into
gonna
the
be
Fast
in,
franchise.
He's gonna be in Marvel now. He's playing General Ross, General Thaddeus
Well, and
Thunderbolt
he's in
Ross.
the Yellowstone show too, which even that's a little far fetched, but
Huh?
at least it's not as far fetched as Indiana
And on
Jones.
top of that, he's on the Apple TV show Shrinking with Jason Segel, which I watched. Not a bad show, but he does like it's he plays a curmudgeon-y old man, and I'm like, I just think that like he just stumbled onto set, and they're like, "Fucking keep it rolling," because he's
Yeah,
just like,
that's him.
"I
That's exactly how I
don't
would
know."
think he is in real life.
Yeah, I don't think he was acting.
He is literally an asshole in real life.
I
Like
think,
me
I
when
think
I'm
he
older.
just stumbled on. Says, "What are you guys? What are you guys doing here?" Like we're shooting on the show. Like, we're fucking young people. Like, all right, keep it rolling, keep it rolling, keep it rolling. What would you say if this guy's around? Fucking little stupid ass. And like that's the whole show. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it works. Lean into what you got. What else? Marvel's release since we've been gone. The Secret Invasion Disney Plus TV show. Have you been watching?
Yep.
Mm.
It's pretty good. I don't know. It's like
Oh,
it's
that's right.
good. They do a good job, but it's a little slow. I feel like they could pick up the pace a little on that.
Yeah, it's meant to be. By the way, Angry Elf, great comment. He goes, Harrison Ford was in one of the Expendables. He did have a cameo in I think it was like the third one. And he did
Nobody
have-
watches those. Nobody watches them. Smith. He's the only one.
Hey Tim, what's up, buddy? Scott, the Ahsoka trailer did come out. Yep. I was gonna play it, but we got so much shit to cover that maybe next week we'll play
Napoleon
through
trailer came
it. Which one?
Napoleon.
Napoleon. Yep. There's a couple things came out, and then only so much time in the day to cover a couple things. But I just wanted the things that were on the top of my mind at the when you're covering 2-3 weeks now that have been gone, it's a lot. But yeah, no, Secret Invasion. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. It is slow. And I was talking to my wife. She was watching with me, and she's like, it's kind of boring. And I'm like, no, you're just used to a 90-minute
Action.
thrill ride of explosions and guns. And they're telling a very long, it's like a political intrigue.
Like a spy thriller
the
type
whole
deal.
thing is that this is who can you trust? Like they're building to something, right? Like who can you trust? Nothing. You can't believe what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like anything you see doesn't mean you can believe it. And spoiler alerts for anybody that isn't caught up. But the fact that they killed Maria Hill in the first episode, I was like, holy shit. And then killed Daenerys Targaryen in like the second episode. Like, all right, you're going for broke. Here's the one thing that bothered me from the get. Before Secret Invasion came out, they released a trailer for The Marvels, the next big Marvel movie, which is fine.
So what's the deal? That's what I was going to ask you. Is that after this or before this? Because he's in the stupid space station.
Exactly. So that is my point exactly. You could have cut together a trailer that didn't show Nick Fury. So if it does take place next, we don't go, well, Fury's going to be fine because he's fine. Now, if it's out of chronological order, that's going to confuse a lot of people. If they're going to kill off Nick Fury in this series, and then they go, wait, but he's in that movie.
He's up there, yeah.
Yeah, and then and could it be part of their maybe this Fury isn't that Fury, maybe that Fury isn't this Fury? They could be playing up that part of it, but I think it's muddying the waters a little bit. The other thing is in the trailers, you see he's clean shaven, he's got the goatee, whereas in the show he's all ruffled out. So is he going?
He's going back.
He's going to go back and clean up his act and all that. I don't like it. I don't like it. We love our Marvel universe because it has a plan, because it has a roadmap, because you know what's coming down the line. But it's a double-edged sword. The bad of it is, almost the way you go, well, I know every, hero is not going to die, right? The hero always wins. That's the whole point. But this takes it to another level of where, if the show is based around how is he going to survive this? Will he make it out? Or you're losing something. You're losing some impact,
Exactly. I didn't think of that. But yeah, it's like, oh, they're all out to get him, and he's the one the guy wants to kill the most. And here he is in space with,
back to
the
doing
Marvels.
what he does. Yeah. And if you're caught up to the episodes,
he's good to go.
If you're caught up on the episodes, he just got fired. He's a man on his own. You know what I mean? He's lost all his ties.
True.
He lost everything. He's now not affiliated. So then how does he get back up to space? How does he run Sword, the head of, whatever, so again, it just muddies the water.
He stops the scroll invasions. They apologize to him. They give him all his stuff back.
And then he shaves, and then he goes back to space.
Gets back pay. Gets a big fat check.
Big fat man, that's so good. Again, I'm giving Secret Invasion the benefit of the doubt. I do feel like coming out of this, we will be. It's almost like, remember when WandaVision came out and everybody wasn't really sure what to make of it at first because it was so different than everything we had. But then by the end of it, people were like, "Oh, that was awesome," I think coming out of this, we're gonna look back and go like, "Oh no, that was good. That was good. It was a nice slow burn, to what they're trying to do."
Like a like a spy. You gotta look at it as like a spy type thing.
So all the people, did everybody forget like 24 and Lost? Like that.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what would happen. Tiny bit of action, a lot of talking, a lot of mystery. Heath says Fury is obviously a Skrull. I don't know.
There's scrolls of everyone, pretty much.
Everybody's a Skrull. At this point, everybody's a Skrull. And it would make sense. I don't know. No, I'm trying to think. The reason they wouldn't make Fury a Skrull is because, like, I'm talking the bad guys, the bad Skrulls. The reason they wouldn't make a copy of Fury is because they knew he was in space with the other Skrulls. So why make a copy of him if he wasn't here?
On the ground.
And then when he shows up, you could, in theory, make a Skrull of him. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think he means like the Marvels one is a Skrull.
Oh yeah, possibly like filling in for. He's like, hey, I'm gonna step out of town for a minute. Can you just like fill in for me?
Go to space. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just hang loose and whatever?
I got to shoot Shaft 3. I'll be back.
Quentin Tarantino needs me for another cameo. I'll be
Pulp
back.
Fiction too.
Motherfucker. I'll be right back.
Some snakes on the space station.
There's some snakes on this motherfucking space station. All right, couple more things. So, very excited. Oh, I got to share this image. You're not going to see it, but the audience will.
Make sure it's not the image you sent me earlier.
Don't judge. Let's go. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our first look at Hugh Jackman in full Wolverine regalia. Okay, that suit is gorgeous. It is so damn good. This was obviously first leaked and teased by the team behind the movie. Both Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds put it on their Instagrams, and then the company released a full HD version of it. But like, this is what 23 years, bro. 23 years of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and now it hit. We've seen it. They teased it a bunch of times, and now we see it in its glory. I mean, what are your thoughts? Because it's so good. It's so good. I mean,
I'm just glad they saved the best for last.
I mean, like, this is obviously.
But is he gonna wear it the whole time, or like, because they already released it, so it's like, are they just doing it like real quick, and then he's gonna wear something else, or you think he's gonna wear it the whole time?
So there are some rumors that he's not even
gonna
playing
be shirtless. He's always gonna be shirtless.
I think here's the thing. Because remember, he said at the last one, he's like, I'm done. Like the strain of building his body to be Wolverine was killing him. So what better way to not have to have him in excellent shape than put him in a full head to toe costume, right?
Well, they were working out like ridiculous though. They were they were showing pictures like, oh, I'm working out, and then Reynolds was like, oh, I'm working out.
Yeah, but still, like, it doesn't have to be as strenuous as when he did Logan or the Wolverine. But like, this is obviously a take on like the classic Chris Claremont, the animated series version. Like, I love they did the silver claw holes in the gauntlets. Oh man, that's like, it's such an easy detail to miss. The whole, I mean, yellow and blue suit, but has the red X on the belt clip. Like, it's so good.
It's the one we wanted from the beginning. You're gonna
right?
piss off your guest.
This is all we've ever wanted. This is all we've ever wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is the like they did a great job with the Deadpool suit in the first one, the second one, and this one they've made slight adjustments to make it even better. But what I was saying before was that the rumor is Hugh Jackman won't even be playing one version of Wolverine. He'll be playing many versions. So this might just be like the live action animated version. Like this might be the cartoon version, the cartoon variant in real life kind of thing. We know, like, dude, there's so many leaks coming out about the movie and so many rumors and like it's weird because there's the rumors, there's the leaked images, there's the confirmations of random characters that'll be in it. Like it's almost like they're purposefully flooding the market with a lot of stuff so that you can't get a grasp of what's happening. Did you ever read the series Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe? You ever read that one? Great series. You know, Deadpool becomes self-aware and is basically like, well, the only way to end my existence as a comic book character is to just kill everyone. And he goes about systematically murdering every Marvel character, hero, villain alike. And then at the end of it, I think he even like climbs out of the page and like kills the animator or whatever the fuck, the artist. Great series. There's a rumor that this is going to be a version of that. In that Deadpool kills the Fox Marvel universe. And here's why people are leaning that way. They've already confirmed, right? You have Deadpool, you have Wolverine, you have Hugh Jackman. Just
some of the other X-Men too, right?
Right. Well, those are rumored.
Ahead.
They're rumored. So you have returning characters here. I have the list. Hold on. So those are the confirmed characters first. So the confirmed characters returning are obviously Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. They're also bringing back reprisals from Deadpool 1 and 2. So you've got Brianna Hillebrand as Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She's coming back.
Cool.
So Saloy Kusanani, which is Yukio, she's coming back from part 2. Kappa Pick something. He was the actor behind Colossus. He'll be back. Morena man, I cannot. These people. Moriana Bakarin, who is Vanessa, is the girlfriend. She's back. Rob Delaney as Peter, the one guy, he's coming back for some reason. The one unpowered member of X-Force is coming back. And then Karen Sony, who's Dopinder, his taxi driver, he's back. And lastly, Leslie Uggams, who was Blind Al. She's coming back. Now, interestingly enough, of all those people returning, Zazie Beetz, who played Domino, has already said she's not coming back. So Domino will not be coming back. So that's all that was confirmed. Literally, I think this was yesterday or today, confirmed, adding to the list of confirmed, the most random Fox property character, Jennifer Garner as Elektra, is returning.
Right? Why?
Now, that adds to the rumors, though, because here are the people that have been rumored to be there. Ben Affleck returning as Daredevil was rumored, so that would make sense. Those two are connected. The other ones that were rumored, for those that remember, Channing Tatum was slated to make a Gambit movie. So
thank God that never happened.
I don't know.
There is a God.
I don't know.
Sweet baby Jesus.
So rumored he will be finally donning the Gambit cloak and he'll be playing Gambit in the movie. Other ones that are rumored are almost all of the X-Men from both the original X-Men cast, so like Halle Berry, Sir Patrick
Stewart.
Jesus, I wanted to say Patrick Ewing, and I'm like, I know that's not
right.
He
was in there.
Sir Patrick Ewing. He kind of looks like Charles Xavier.
Guy in a wheelchair.
A black guy in a wheelchair
with a flat top.
So Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen as Magneto. So there's the guy that plays Cyclops, the chick that played Jean Grey. Like they're all rumored to appear, but also the secondary X-Men. So like your Sophie Turner, who played Jean Grey, James McAvoy. Yeah, the First Class group of people. They're rumored to come back. And even as if all that wasn't enough, there's a rumored appearance of the original campy Fantastic Four, which could mean a return for Chris Evans as the Human Torch, not Captain America, which would be kind of a funny thing to see because Deadpool's going to make a comment. He would make a comment if he sees Chris Evans as Human Torch and not Captain America. So those are all rumored. But when you start to like look at it from a far pane and you start to think in the realm of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, like
so it's like killing all the shitty movies.
He's literally eliminating. So like the rumors that like almost like the Marvel Universe is gonna have like an incursion with the Fox Universe, and so the only way is two men enter, one man leaves style. Like he has to kill off the entire the dead weight, so to speak, so that the Marvel Universe can thrive. And who better to help him kill people than Wolverine? So I've been showing this image. Now, why I'm feeling good about that rumor, I'm going to show this image. And you can see Wolverine is in the bottom right corner. You can see Hugh Jackman in the bottom right corner. But what you're seeing, and you're only seeing part of it, that's 20th Century Fox logo.
Exactly.
They're fighting underneath. So there have been many stills showing them. They have like this huge battle, Deadpool versus Wolverine, where they're fighting it out. You can see the one woman in the red hoodie just below the 20th Century Fox. That's a breakaway wall. And at one point he throws him through the breakaway wall. So like there's a lot of really, like when you really think about it, and I'm like, how meta can you go when, first of all, 20th Century Fox doesn't exist anymore. In essence, it doesn't exist because it was bought out by Disney. 20th Century is now the studio name. It's not 20th Century Fox, which you can clearly see the X for Fox sticking out. So this idea that the meta commentary of the way that Disney bought out and in essence destroyed 20th Century Fox, you're going to have Deadpool basically fighting it out. The other rumor was, that's the other part I forgot of it, is it's going to tie into the Marvel Universe in the sense that Mobius from Loki is rumored to play a big part in it. So you're going to have basically at the end of Deadpool 2, he was bouncing around the timeline, fucking around with things, which would have done what? It would have fucked with the time stream. It would have caused what they called them branches and alternate realities and whatnot. So it could be Deadpool is trying to fix his mistakes by going and clipping all the branches. It could be that, there's a million different ways you can go with it. We don't know for sure what really is the scenario, but I just think, Scott says, it's Deadpool literally throwing Wolverine through the fourth wall. Well, it's the other way around. Wolverine literally throwing Deadpool through the fourth wall. So this is, some people are saying this could be, what was it? The place that Loki went to after he got pruned, the void, the nether, the other, whatever the place was, that all the broken down things ended up that got pruned. That is what we could be seeing. So the 20th Century Fox logo could literally be from a timeline that got pruned. That's why it doesn't exist anymore, right?
Okay.
So anyway, I thought that was an interesting take. Let's bring me back up here, me and you back up. So I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on a Deadpool kills the universe kind of movie?
That's a great way for them to go out, and they said that's the last one, right? So
yeah,
what better way to do it? And then in classic Deadpool style, ripping on them, and
who else can do it?
Perfect.
Who else can do it?
What else are you gonna do? I don't know. If you just do another movie and then just end it, it's like do that, make fun of everyone, and then go out.
Go out with a bang. And I think what a cool way to like. I don't know, man. The old saying, like, to the victor go the spoils. Like, what a way to like kick Fox when they're down. Like, after we made you our bitch, and then like we're gonna make a movie of destroying everything you've built for the last 20
Yeah.
something years. But in a way, also honoring everything that came before us, right? Like, I do think there's a sort of reverence in going, let's take a look at how far we've come. Let's bring back all these super shitty characters. Like, no
Right.
offense to the actors and actresses that try really hard, but Electra wasn't good.
It was
Like,
terrible.
it was really bad.
The whole movie was terrible.
It was really
It's
really
the
bad.
Green Lantern of Marvel movies.
I mean, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
It
So,
was terrible.
you know, to be able to bring those characters back and give them one last hurrah, and to, like, we know this is an MCU proper movie. They've already said that this is in the MCU. It's MCU canon. We know that it's going to be R-rated. So you're going to see, like, I want to know how far they're going to take it, right? Like, are we going to see Deadpool and Wolverine literally? I mean, I don't know. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. We saw some pretty graphic things for a Marvel movie, right? We saw like the zombified Strange. We saw literally the Illuminati getting torn to shreds, pretty much. So if that's what they pushed with the PG-13, you know, I think it'd be interesting.
They don't disappoint. The
Yeah. Do you
Deadpool movies, that's for sure.
Do you think this could go on record as the biggest box office for an R-rated movie? Does it have a chance?
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, everyone loves Deadpool. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Because I remember
Especially now you got Wolverine back, those two together. Yeah, definitely. It's
I
money in
remember
the bank.
right. I remember when the first Deadpool came out, and they were like, it broke all kinds of records as like one of the highest rated grossing R movies. I just looked it up. Here we go. But this is as of February 2022. I need something more recent. But let's see. Highest grossing R-rated films of all time. Here we go. That's better. So ranked. So this is worldwide gross. Worldwide gross. Joker is the number one with $1 billion worldwide. But right behind it, Deadpool 2 and Deadpool. So they're the number 2 and 3. And before the Joker came out in 2019, they were number 1 and number 2. Most highest grossing R-rated films worldwide. The movie, okay, comic book. The next highest is The Matrix Reloaded.
Really?
Yeah, that was the highest grossing R-rated film. Like, I didn't even remember The Matrix Reloaded being R-rated, but it was.
I didn't think that was PG-13.
Yeah. And then behind that is It, and then Detective Chinatown 3.
Never heard of it.
Apparently a big hit overseas because that came out in 2021. Sixth highest R-rated. It grossed more than Logan and The Passion of the Christ. So
Wow.
It had to have a big cult following. Detective Chinatown 3. Not American film. They have a little note. Less than 3% of their total gross. Less than 3% of its gross is United States and Canada. Wow. Anyway. So Joker, Deadpool 2, and then Deadpool, which the two Deadpools are literally like $4 million apart as far as how much they made worldwide. But like that's saying
good.
something.
Yeah.
That is saying something. And you didn't have, like, with the Joker, there wasn't anything in there that was like a Saw movie where there's, ripped faces and heads exploding. Like, there was some graphic violence and all that, but like, I think the R-rated was more about the tone and the themes and the cussing, as it were, rather than how gory it was or how sex depraved it was or whatever. So yeah, like, I think that, I think.
Oh, definitely. I think it'll beat that. I could say
You
it'll
think it
do
makes
over
more
$1
than
billion.
$1 billion worldwide?
Yeah, easily.
I mean, you think about the movies that grossed really well when you had like Endgame that brought all the characters together, Spider-Man that brought all the characters together. Like those tended to gross more than a lot of those films, and yeah, I think that I think it's possible. I mean, if Deadpool 2 and Deadpool 1 are in the top 3, that was weird. I thought I heard some. Why couldn't Deadpool 3 be in there as well? Yeah, I'm hearing things. The old tinnitus. God bless the infantry. Ye old tinnitus is acting up again. Phil Leach says Deadpool versus Solid Snake. Who wins? Solid Snake. He thinks Solid Snake wins. I don't know, man. Deadpool is a guy that you can never count out. Literally. I mean, he like the healing factor and all. Like he would just have to outlast whoever he's fighting. Like that's it. Like you put him against Batman, you put him against Solid Snake. I think those people win in a straight up fight. But the fact that he'll just keep regenerating, like Snake's gonna have to eat and sleep at some point. Deadpool
right?
just keep going. Like he just doesn't. I don't know. I just he's something else. He's OP, man. He's OP. Scott says if Joker is on top, then Deadpool will definitely overtake it. Well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's it was like, so I didn't mention, so 1 billion for Joker, and then it was like 780 was the next one at Deadpool. So they'd have to make 230 more million than their last attempt in order to overtake Joker's worldwide dominance. So, it seems
I think
doable.
they could do it.
230
Look how much
more.
press they're generating now, and they haven't even released a trailer.
So that okay. So now brings me to a thought, because we have a few minutes before I guess. There's just enough time. Due to the current Hollywood writers' strike, productions has stopped on pretty much everything. Deadpool 3 is able to film because the script was already done prior to the start of the strike. So they can go ahead and film. But here's the caveat. Ryan Reynolds loves to ad-lib. He loves to just, whatever the fuck comes out his mouth, it happens. Due to the writer's strike, in order to honor the writer's strike while still filming the movie, they cannot alter the script. Everyone has to read line by line what is written and add nothing more.
Really?
So I hope that does not hurt the film. I hope that does not hinder the creative process that makes some of these movies as good as they are. We've heard so many stories where like that one scene everyone loves, we just came up with that on the spot. That just fell out my mouth, or we filmed it after the fact. Like we realized it wasn't working, so we made another thing. They can't do that. If it's not on the page, they cannot shoot it due to the writer's strike. So, and add on to that, there's a possible actors strike that is been postponed. I think they have an agreement until like July 16. So it only has like 4 or 5 more days, where if they don't reach an agreement, the Actors Guild will also go on strike. That will shut down production. So
maybe they were just filming the scenes with like little to no dialogue,
Probably.
and then hoping the strike ends.
yeah, get all the fluff, all not the fluff, all the action stuff out the way, all the stunt stuff out the way, and then hope that they have time, because that's a big part of one of my favorite things to do was put on Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2. Like if you watch the DVD, they have so many gags and outtakes and alternate scenes and all that stuff. It was you could make a whole new movie with the kind of stuff that they shot. Phil says, I thought Ryan Reynolds wrote it. Doesn't that supersede the strike? So yes and no. He's
still part of the
He was one of the writers, but think of it as wearing multiple hats. His writing hat is on strike. He is there solely as an actor. Solely. So typically, when he does all his ad-libbing and stuff like that, he'll get like producer credits. He'll get writer credits because he's helping, bring the whole thing together. All that's on strike. He is there solely as a tool, as the machine he is to act the words as written. So yeah, so it's my hope is that it doesn't harm what could be such an awesome movie. And yeah.
I don't think it would. They're not going to go through all that just to do subpar because of something like that. It's probably working around it.
Money, money, lots of money.
Or they'll just film it how they want and just say they didn't ad lib later.
That's a recipe for a lot of people who lose jobs and never get work again if you're a scab and crossed the picket lines and did that. So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we have some good resolution out of that. I'm hopeful that nothing hurts it. Scott says, film what they can, and if the writer's strike is over before they're done, do some reshoots. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's your best bet is film what you can. Yep. Hope and pray that even if like we wrap principal photography over the last, because the thing is we have a month or two of actually shooting. If they can't come to an agreement, you wrap, start editing, like highlight where it's not working. Writer strike's over. Okay, guys, bring it on back. We're gonna shoot some other takes and then do it again. Hopefully, but you got to remember, like anytime we've seen things, major strikes or major worldwide events, like when 9/11 happened, Men in Black 2 was shooting when 9/11 happened, and like one of the original ending was supposed to be like the Twin Towers were supposed to like fly off into space. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that now. And they had to literally like in a week pound out a whole new ending, which is one of the reasons why the whole shit didn't make any sense. So there's tons of examples where real life events and or strikes, writers, actor strikes, etc., have caused significant problems. Heroes was a great TV show. I love the first season was phenomenal. Second season was just a train wreck. And it's because they had gotten like half the scripts in and then hired some kid from Burger King to write out the rest of them. And it was so bad. And it was so bad. Yeah. Grooming and Reviews 101 says there was Spider-Man in the original Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Luckily, none of the movie itself was centered around it, but there was a scene that was already shot in which Spider-Man like webs between the two Twin Towers and catches a helicopter. And it was like this huge thing. Certain trailers of it got cut and were released. And then boom, 9/11 happens. And they're like, well, that's going to get removed. You know what I mean? And they had to rewrite those sections and whatnot. But yeah, there's a history of these things that are like, oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. And then because of life events, because of strikes and writer strikes and actor strikes, whatever, you got to make the best with what you can. And it doesn't always go to plan. So, all right, guys, with that, we've had an exciting first hour. We are going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the legend, the absolute incredible David Hayter is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking all about his career and his wonderful stuff. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So I'm going to cut to break, and we'll be right back with more. Mike, thank you for joining us in the first hour. I really appreciate it. We're going to see you afterwards?
Yeah, I'll hang around.
All right. Outstanding, man. With that, guys, we're going to cut to a short break, and we'll be back with more right after this. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, right? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, what do you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And if I told you everything, I bet you cry and run away. 'Cause with all the lies I keep, made you believe this was me. The truth is I am not at all who I preach myself to be. And I deserve to be alone, and I'm alone here with me. And after all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And if I told you everything, I wonder if you would believe that with all the ways you've tried, I couldn't change my selfish needs. And with endless love from you, and I took for granted everything. And I deserve to be alone here with me. After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And I believe I could close my eyes and make it go away in dreams. And honestly, I could die to take it all away from me. After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And after all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've done, do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me
You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. The force is strong. They have the high ground.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. Be still, my beating heart. I'm a professional. I do this all the time. Do not geek and fan out. All right, guys, my guest tonight is a true titan of the industry, a visionary artist who has left an incredible, indelible mark on the realms of gaming, film, and television with a voice that brought Solid Snake to life in the legendary Metal Gear series. He has captivated audiences around the world, from his stirring portrayal of Captain America in the Spider-Man animated series to his exceptional writing skills showcased in screenplays for X-Men and Watchmen. This man's creative genius knows no bounds. It is my absolute honor to introduce our esteemed, eclectic guest, a true warrior of pop culture. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the incredible David Hayter.
Yay. CQ. I kept you waiting, huh?
Stop it. I can't. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So good to have you, David.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, and you know, just a shout out to everyone watching and listening. You know, it's good to be here.
Oh man, dude, you have no idea how excited people are to have you come on and to hear your story and to learn all about you. It's been a buzz the last few days as we build up to this moment. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Really, really, really thank you. You were so cool. We met at Fan Expo Philadelphia. You were so cool. You know, took the time and just so giving of yourself. And when I was like, hey, you want to come do my stupid podcast? And you're like, let's do it. And so we're here. Oh, I'm so excited. It's a great tie-in. We're also I'll be at MGS Con next weekend. Very, very excited for that. Unfortunately, you are not able to attend. You're off in the world fighting for freedom and doing the things you do. You know, you're gallivanting around the world and your tours.
I will actually be scuba diving an underwater volcano and chasing sharks around with my GoPro. So
that is in
the Southern Atlantic.
That is the most Solid Snake answer ever. Like, I'll be busy, you know, scuba diving.
True story. That's where
my God. By the way, already in the chats, you're hearing like people are like, snake, and like, oh my God, Metal Gear.
I can't see the chats.
I know. Unfortunately, I will have to transcribe them for you.
That's okay. I'll just get distracted. But
people are already like, do the voice. Like, no, guys, patience. Let's settle in. Let's make a nice warm welcome for our guests before we start doing the dance monkey thing.
Listen, what am I? Some sort of trained monkey?
There you go.
I am a bit.
I love this. All right, so for real, first question I ask everybody, the same question: what is your military connection?
Well, I'm from Canada. I had two uncles who were fighter pilots, actually, and so we were very proud of our members of the Royal Canadian Air Force. My dad, his brothers were pilots, and so my dad decided to go into the military and ended up in the typing pool. So we're very, very proud. He suffered an injury of carpal tunnel, but he's since recovered and everything's okay. Canadian military history, of which I'm very proud, but also, and I'm very conflicted about this. I have a huge number of people that come to me and tell me they joined the military because of me. And I'm like, please, don't do that because of me, because I'm just sitting in a booth eating muffins and, I'm not actually fighting Metal Gears. And so I want to give a shout out to all of those people that might have been inspired by Metal Gear, I'm happy it was inspiring for you, but please stay safe. I don't want anybody to get hurt on my account. And beyond that, I just hope that that they take care of all of you and treat you right, because you deserve it.
Oh, thank you. Well, we thank your family for their service. I mean, yes, they're not American, but some of our best allies are the Canadians and the Aussies, and I've gotten to serve. I was stationed in Italy, so I've gotten to serve with
Oh, nice.
members of militaries all over the world, and they're all incredible and all bring a different uniqueness to the front lines. I can tell you, and I have some. On the side, I tell you some Canadian stories I got from from the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few.
So now, some people can't see your background as I can privately, but you have a comic book right over your shoulder, which is so. Yep, there. Oh man, look at that! You got some cool stuff. You got some cool stuff.
I
So,
do. There's all my snake stuff and
oh, I love it. I love
whatnot.
it. I'm gonna get a virtual tour of your house. So that leads me into my next question, which is, outside of the filming, outside of the work, the gaming, voicing, all that, what do you geek out about? What is your geek passion?
Oh well, God, my whole life is geek passion. I wouldn't have this career if it wasn't for that. I grew up loving comic books and movies. Raiders of the Lost Ark was the first movie the movie that changed my life, where I was like, okay, yes, whatever they're doing, that's what I want to do. I geek out about great prosthetic effects, beautiful guitars. I go to these Comic Cons and I get to meet, I got to meet Keith David, and geeked out over that. I just got to hang out with Ron Perlman and Danny Trejo, and so I'm as susceptible to nerd love as anybody, and I probably love all the same things you guys love. I love Star Wars and I run the gamut, but that's my life.
Yeah.
Pop culture.
It's like, celebrities, they're just like us.
Mhm. Well, and I mean, like, I got a lot of fans and everything, but I would never consider myself a celebrity. People are like, "Oh, you're so cool," and I'm like, "No, I'm just a person hanging out like anybody else." So,
Well, we
yeah, it's not like
appreciate your humbleness, but let me tell you, all the people who are here to watch you would say otherwise. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
well, thank you. That's very kind.
This is
Appreciate it.
since this is the get to know you portion of our interview, are there any charities or big ticket things that you like really support, or you want to promote, or things you believe in?
Well, I believe in all sorts of things. I really like Heifer International. Is a pretty cool charity, and what you do with Wounded Warriors is amazing. I just did a podcast with Children's Cancer Society. So basically, anytime people are being treated unfairly or are suffering needlessly, I am in favor of stopping that or improving that situation.
I mean, Solid Snake couldn't have said it better himself. Like, if there's people suffering, I'm going to be there. I'm going to stop it.
He just would have said it weirder.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into the how he says things stuff, because I have questions about that as well. Okay. So I read up on you. I learned about you. I know you've been acting since like the age of 9, if the internet's to be believed. So by all means,
That's true. Yeah,
if anything I say is incorrect, please correct me.
I will.
But you've been acting since the age of 9. You've been doing this so long. Can you remember back before acting, before like this became a thing of like, this is going to be the thing that I do for a living? Was there like, did you want to be a baseball player? Like, was there a plan B? Was there an other alternate that you were interested in?
There was. Yeah. Before I was 9 years old, my plan was I was going to go to law school and become a lawyer, and I was going to study karate, and I was going to get rich being a lawyer, and then I was going to become Batman. I had it all planned out, And I started taking karate and was ready to go forward with this plan. And then I realized, and I added up how many more years of school I would have if I wanted to become a lawyer. And I was like, maybe I'll become an actor instead. And if I get lucky enough to be rich, then I'll become Batman.
Right.
Eventually, I discovered that being Batman is infeasible on a number of levels. And, unless you have billions of dollars, it's difficult to pull off. So, that sadly fell by the wayside. I could play Batman, and again, I have my Batman mask up there. I don't know if you can see it. But
yeah, absolutely.
Ready to go, just in case.
Ready. I could see you like in the booth, like with the mask on, and going.
Where's
full.
Rachel?
There you go. Where's the Joker? Right?
Where's the Joker?
We're using
that sort of thing. That was my original plan. So my original plan was lawyer / Batman, and then it became actor, writer, director, producer.
Okay, I like it. I read this and I had to ask because I just think it's so cool. Do you speak fluent Japanese?
No, I went to high school in Japan. I speak conversational Japanese. Mostly drunken Japanese. If I go out to a sushi bar or something, have a few Asahis, I can really rip into it. But I can make myself understood, and if I was lost in Tokyo, I could find my way around and speak to people. But it's not great. I mean, it's everything I remember from when I was 15 years old. So I speak sort of broken conversational Japanese, and the same with French.
Yeah, childish Japanese.
Yes, I speak a lot of it, but I speak it like an idiot. So
that's great.
There you go.
I love it. Okay, so by the way, everybody watching live, because we have a large number of folks watching live, don't forget you can ask questions in the chats. If I see one that I feel is appropriate to the conversation, then we'll spring it on David. But for now, let's talk a little bit about your career, because I'm so fascinated. You are multifaceted. You've done so much in a very large swath. When someone says the entertainment industry, like, you've really played in it. You've really kind of run the gamut left to right. So let's dive into a little bit of it. As a writer, as an actor, I think you touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious, what's first sparked your interest in the entertainment industry? What was it about it that called to you?
Well, it was just super fun initially, but I got into it. My mother, we used to move around all the time. It was very much like a military family. People asked me if I was a military brat, but I was a pharmaceutical brat. My dad worked for a big pharmaceutical company, and we got transferred every 6 months to a year of my life, and I lived in all these different cities. So to get to know people quickly, my mother would do community theater shows, and so I would go and see her, and I get to go backstage and see the actors and the makeup and everything. I thought it was really cool. And then when I was 9 years old, we were living in California in El Toro, and she found an ad for a kids production of Pinocchio, and she said, "You should audition for this." And so I said, "Okay." And so I did, and I got a part, and I nailed my first audition, and did this show. And then actually what happened was I was backstage after the premiere, the opening night. I came out, and there was like an opening night party, and I was still in my costume and the makeup and everything. And then this beautiful 10-year-old girl came up to me and asked me for my autograph. So I was signing it, and I was like, this is pretty good, So I have to thank that little girl. She led me on a pretty fulfilling career path. So yeah, I love doing the show. I love signing my first autograph, and I just decided that's what I wanted to do. I started putting up shows in high school, producing shows. Actually, I started in grade 7, I think. But I think I starred in my first show, which is sort of grand. But it sounds grand. It was just like a little stupid, school show. But I started doing that pretty much once a year. And then when I was 15, my parents started letting me audition for movies and TV and stuff. And I booked my first audition, professional audition, was for a commercial, and I booked that. I was like, oh my God, this job is easy, you know.
So easy.
So eventually, when I was 20, I moved to LA to give it a try.
No, that's awesome. And so, like we said, you started the acting thing at 9 and more professionally at 15. Then, sorry, I'm reading my own notes as I'm talking, and I'm like, oh, that's not a question. That's just a statement. So I'm fascinated because I read that you got interested in voice acting, and pretty much soon, this is like late 90s or early 90s, you landed the role of Captain America in what is arguably one of the greatest cartoons of all time, and I'll fight anyone who argues, the 94 animated Spider-Man series. So good. How did that come about? Like, how did you make the jump? Because like you said, you were doing performances and you started booking commercials and acting. How did you make that leap into voice acting?
Well, I had done, so I was auditioning as an on-camera actor, and I got this role in the TV show Major Dad. So I guess that counts towards my military connections. I'm just kidding. I played Yakov Smirnov played a visiting Russian general or visiting Russian major, and I was his son, Misha. And so as Misha, I speak like this. I have Russian accent, and I'm goofy and do all these. I did the Arsenio whoop whoop whoop. It was the 90s. So I do this thing with this accent, and it was a fun little part. I think you can see the episode on Hulu if you're into masochism. And then Helen Hunt's father, Gordon Hunt, who was a legendary animation director, was in the audience and just said, "Hey, I want you and Yakov to come play Russians on Captain Planet." So that was it. So I went down and did my first day, and then while I was there, I ran into, like, literally bumped into somebody. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and it was Mark Hamill. And then I backed away and bumped into somebody else, and it was John Rhys Davies from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Margot Kidder. It was her first day working on our episode. She was taking over the voice of the computer, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest job in the world. And we just sat around. We recorded it all together in one booth, like a radio play, and it was so fun. And then I told my agents, I was like, I want to go out for cartoons and voiceover, and then that's how I ended up getting Spider-Man.
Wow. And I think people maybe who aren't old enough don't remember that even at the height of like that cartoon, like Captain America wasn't really the sexy character back then. He wasn't the what we see today, Captain America, and how
He's
popular
more
he is.
iconic and sort of removed, and
Yeah. It's like people were like, yeah, that guy, he'd been around for a while. What like how'd you find the voice? Like was it just you just read that way? Like how'd you find his voice for Captain America? Do you remember?
Yeah, I had been studying theater in Toronto, so I had trained my voice to, be able to hear me at the back of the, be able to sound like I'm talking, but you hear me at the back of the theater. So I thought, that could be my Captain America voice, that he should sound strong and stoic and, ready to take on anything. And so that's where it came from.
Nice. So now let's jump ahead a few years. This is the thing that I'm sure most people get excited for and most people want to talk to you about. 1998, you voiced the now legendary Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid, a game that became a landmark franchise in the gaming industry, right?
Totally, yeah.
What is it like being part of such a groundbreaking project, and how has it impacted your life?
It's impacted my life a surprising amount. What was it like? Well, I got the job, and when we recorded it, they showed me clips from the game. They showed me the downing of the Hind D helicopter, and we did a lot of the scenes to the finished version of the Japanese game. And so I knew it was going to be a big game. I knew that they were really swinging for the fences with it. and I felt like I was very fortunate to land that part, and that this was going to be a big thing. I did not know that 25 years later I'd be talking about it, that I'd be going to Comic Cons and doing the Snake voice 400 times every weekend, which I'm happy to do, by the way. But I did feel there was a moment when we were doing it. I had developed the voice, and it wasn't the voice I auditioned with, but to make him sound older and to make him sound like a legend who had already kind of quit and been dragged over a bunch of bad road, I gave it this sort of gravelly edge. And when I was doing it, I felt like, I think people are going to dig this. Like when I get excited about it, I feel like that energy is going to transfer, and people are going to, I was like me, and I'm pretty badass. I'm, do a bunch of crazy adventurous stuff and whatnot. But this guy was like badass beyond, and I thought, yeah, I think people are going to feel that. And so I had an instinct while we were recording the first game that it was really going to affect people. And luckily I was right, but I didn't know how right I was. I mean, then we did 9 games over the next 12 years. And then, like I say, I'm talking about it to this day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was very fortunate, very lucky to have gotten that job.
It's almost as if already, like, the fantasy of becoming Batman, right? Like
Mhm.
this is the very human version of Batman, the more realistic, as far as Metal Gear, I mean, is concerned, but like the
Right.
more realistic version, like this guy who he's been through it all, he's done it all, he's been beaten, battered, bruised, but always finds a way to win. Like,
Keeps coming back. Yeah.
yeah, you got to portray someone honestly more believable than Batman. A big dork in a bat costume, in a spandex suit. No, but that's so cool. I just love this. I love this so much. So
But I think you're right. I think you're right in that I wanted to be Batman so bad that every part I got, pretty much, like almost every part I've ever gotten, has been like a hero, some sort of superhero, or like Guyver, or or working on XMEN or whatever. I was so inspired by comic books and by those characters that love just came through whenever I was auditioning for things like that. And so you're right. I think it led directly to those jobs.
I'm so glad it did.
Me too. Me
So
too. So's my family.
right, the taxes are the oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm stumbling over words today. This is great. So Solid Snake has become an iconic character in gaming history. Now, I know you said like 9 games. I went like I really scoured, and I found like 15 different games now, counting main storyline, subgenre, special cameo appearances like in Bomberman and Smash Brothers. It's like 15,
Oh yeah, I didn't even count.
yeah,
Bomberman
like
and stuff
15
like
different appearances where your voice was used for the character. So when you say like you're a huge part of the gaming history of that character, obviously, how did over the course of playing that career, how did your approach maybe change or develop or evolve? Because he's a very complex character. We're talking about the same guy or multiple guys over massive time of history. Like, there's a lot there.
Yeah, well, evolved in a number of different ways. I mean, I think to a certain extent, as the games got more realistic, I tried to get a little more realistic. Where in the initial games, it's so crazy. The world is so crazy, and some of the stuff you're talking about is so crazy. I wanted it to I wanted it to be sort of harder edge than reality, and kind of play up the Japanese style weirdness of it all. And I think as the games became more photo real, I tried to give it more reality. I don't know if I succeeded in that. And then beyond that, it's just a matter of figuring out where the character is in the particular time period that you're recording. So, for example, for Snake Eater, it's Big Boss, but he's not Big Boss yet. And he like I said, so Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid, he's tired and he wants to be left alone, and he's already a legend. Well, in Snake Eater, he's just getting started, and he's fired up, and he's like full of belief in the mission, and his desire to go out and kick ass, and isn't really, he learns over the course of that game how dark this is going to get, and what kind of sacrifices he's going to have to make. So by the time we do Peace Walker, that's older Big Boss, and now he's just been through it all, and Big Boss has turned kind of bad, and so it's a harsher, more honed version of that guy. And then of course Old Snake is just falling apart, and his throat is coming to pieces, and it's getting worse as the game goes on. So that's an example of the different snakes, and I don't know, maybe they sound exactly the same to everybody, but that's what I try to put into it.
Not at all, Ben. You just took me on a journey. You just took, like, I could close my eyes, I could see the cut scenes happening right before my eyes. They're so classic. We got some questions in the chats too. I'll get to those. And some people showing support in that they would have liked. I'm gonna put this very PG way. They would have liked to have seen you in Metal Gear Solid 5, and obviously, not happy that the voice went to someone else. So you have a lot of love and support for that. I'll put
Thank you. I tend to agree.
I'm gonna put it in the very PC way. What was in the chat?
All I will say is, no, that is not Solid Snake.
You heard it here first, folks. So I'm just curious if there's any memorable experiences or challenges, something when you think back to your careers playing this character. Is there anything that jumps out into your mind as just a memorable experience?
It's all pretty memorable. I mean, it's really fun to play these games, and every time we do it, I insist that all the actors come in and we act the scenes together, and so it's always amazing to make the games. I mean, I guess the most challenging thing would have been Old Snake, in that I wanted him to start off here and then end up here, like he's just falling apart. But we recorded the game out of order, so I'd have to ask before every scene, okay, what percentage of the game are we in? So how desiccated, destroyed is his voice? So that, that was a challenge. It was hard on the throat, but beyond that, I mean, it's just, it's such a dream job, and it's a lot of work, but it's so much fun. So I don't really look at much of it as a challenge. Even the Old Snake thing, I mean, that was an acting challenge, but once I heard the game, I was like, okay, I think that worked pretty nicely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the story aside, because like the way they weave this tapestry of stories and clones and old and past and future, it's enough to make your head spin. So I'm curious, like, as you were going through it, did you ever sit down and go like, hey, can someone explain to me like where we are, what's happening? Because I played them all through every time they were released, and like I was so dedicated to, but even I was like, I don't know what's happening half the time. I'm just shooting things.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, nobody explains it to you, and we don't get the scripts in advance. They just, when you hear us reading them, that's the first time we're reading them, really. So, I would occasionally stop and just say, what is this? Who is this person? Who is Rose? Why is Sunny making eggs? Like, none of this makes any sense to me. So they'd give me explanations, but most of the time they'd have to like call Tokyo to figure out what the answer was, and it would take so long. There wasn't any point. So if it was something that I felt I could just fake my way through, I would do that. And if I was just totally stumped, I'd ask. And sometimes I'd get an answer, sometimes I wouldn't.
Yeah. And speaking of which, like Metal Gear as a series, starting at 2 and onward, really, like the cutscenes are known to be lengthy, dialogue heavy, intense emotion. Like, when you're doing something like that, because I can imagine like the and like these little things, like that's its own challenge, recording that hundreds and thousands of times. But like these, like you're doing set pieces, like they're mini movies between gameplay. Like, how do you maintain that energy and that authenticity while recording those?
Well, fortunately, the rules say you can't do a session longer than 4 hours, and after 4 hours, you're pretty exhausted. I mean, it sounds silly to say, but it's true. You're putting a lot of energy into it, and a lot of movement, and a lot of emotion, and so we're geared up to really give it our all for those 4 hours. But I mean, with something like the Guinness World Record breaking cutscene from Metal Gear 4, which is 72 minutes long. I mean, we get half an hour in and then take a break, and you can always stop anytime you want, and so it's not like, again, it can be a tiring job, but it's not like lifting crates for a living or anything like that.
Do you think you have the stamina for like the stage version? Like
No.
just
Oh no, not in a million. I mean, when I was 28, sure, but now I would kill myself.
So you're getting you're just getting a ton of love in the chats. Phil says his speech at the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 2 as Snake is so memorable. Here's one question. Well, first comment: Snake is one of the best voices in gaming because it's so unique. So there you go. And then from Scott, and I know this just because I watched a ton of footage on you, but does he play the games and does he have a favorite?
I do play the games. I play all the games that I'm in. And yeah, my favorite is Snake Eater. But I love all of them. Like I love Metal Gear Solid, I love 4, I love Peace Walker. So, it's hard to say, your favorite because they're all so unique and they're all so amazing. But Snake Eater, to me, I love the retro feel of it, and I love how it's the most complete living a movie experience, I think, of any game, really. I mean, with the exception of maybe Grand Theft Auto 5, like that one also made me feel like I was living a movie. But Snake Eater, I just think is just such a perfect execution of the genre. So that tends to be my answer.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a pretty heavy gamer myself. Immersive storytelling wise, where you can almost forget you're playing a game. It has to. I agree with you 100%. Snake Eater, and then I put that up there with like The Last of Us, where it is just so immersive and it draws you in, and you're like, oh, that's right, I'm holding a controller. Like your
Right.
character's standing there. You go, oh yeah, the cutscene's over. I gotta play.
I forgot. I thought I was just living this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're truly great. They really are. Curious if, I mean, given the superpower you have to have his voice at any time you want, has there ever been any like a Halloween costume, a dress up, or ever tempted to put on the eye patch and the headband and
I
go
did
out
it
there?
once. I did it once for Halloween with my daughter. Actually, not long after we did. Well, I guess it would have been a little while after Metal Gear 4. But I do that interview, that live action interview at the beginning of the game, and they had this solid eye patch with a light up red light on it, and so I asked them if I could borrow that for Halloween. I actually just stole it. I still have it somewhere. So I glued that to my face, and I got the bandana, and I colored my hair all white, and I went out as Old Snake. But people ask me all the time if I cosplay as Snake, but my other job is I'm a writer producer, and I'm often asking studios to trust me with millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars of their money. So I find it's best not to have a lot of pictures of me dressed up as a fictional game soldier. I wish I could. The kid in me really is jealous of the modern cosplay thing. I would love to do that, but my other job is in the halls of corporate power, and I have to be careful about what I wear.
You have to wear a different kind of suit, not the ghillie suit or the
Not
skin
ghillie
tight
suit, not the sneaking suit.
That's right. No cardboard boxes. That would be weird. You know, just
No boxes.
curl
Even
your-
though I just feel more comfortable in the box.
There it is. Which, by the way, somebody was saying, because we are doing a giveaway. We are doing a giveaway for anybody watching right now. The MGS Con digital ticket, signed print giveaway. Somebody was saying, we got to have David Hayter sign a cardboard box, and that'll be part of the.
Oh, I would be honored.
Yeah, we'll get like a little small cardboard box, and we'll get you to sign that. And I thought that'd be a fun thing to give away. Speaking of which, though, if Solid Snake himself were going to, I don't know, encourage people to join the giveaway and check out MGS Con, what would he say?
He'd probably say, listen, MGS Con is happening, and there's some crazy giveaways that you want to be a part of. So get out from under your box, try to remember the basics of CQC, and get your ass to MGS Con. Snake out.
Perfect. I didn't want to breathe to ruin it because it was so perfect. Awesome.
Great
So
time.
let's put Snake aside for a second. Let's put him in his box and close it.
Back
He's
in the
happy
box.
there. Yeah, he's happy there. He's doing his thing. Because like we said so many times, you have such like the voice acting is just a part of what you do for the industry and how you've changed the landscape of modern cinema. Like, I want to personally thank you because I do feel growing up, I was a comic book nerd. I love that stuff. Obviously, you can see the background. I have a bunch of collectibles and things. We were happy to get what we got.
Totally.
So when something like Blade came out and you were like, oh man, that was that I mean, it's not great, but it's for what we had at the time. Or Spawn, I remember seeing people
Spawn.
bash it now, and I'm like, that was the greatest thing my eyes had ever seen. Like, the closest thing a comic book coming to life. You had a hand. You wrote the screenplay for X-Men, the original, the 2000, the thing that I honestly wholeheartedly believe between X-Men and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, like, paved the way for this holy land that we live in now, this mecca of content. Good and bad. There's, you can argue some of them are great,
Yeah. I also owe you all an apology to a certain extent. But no, it's cool that all that fan stuff came together.
Yeah, so you've written screenplays for various films, including X-Men, X2, Watchmen. I'm curious, how does the process of writing for the screen differ from like writing for movies or video games or other kind of content?
Well, it's a lot more stressful. When you're writing a movie that's going to cost $150 million or $185 million, which a few of mine have, every single element is questioned, every cost, every effect, every story choice. So when I first got to the X-Men set, I was like, that was my first big movie I ever worked on. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. And everybody's just going to be having so much fun. Everybody wasn't having that much fun. Everybody was stressed out like nobody's business. I mean, it was really hard. I mean, there were fun things and there were big, crazy set pieces that we shot, amazing stunts. Watching the costumes come together, watching the actors rehearse, all of that stuff is fun and a great experience. But the tension around it of the money that you're spending every single day is and the executives remind you of this on a moment by moment basis. So it's not like when I record a video game, I'm recording Snake or Captain America or something like that. That's just like you'd expect. It's like you come in and you do your job and you kick ass and it's really fun and you're just there to play. Writing is like producing in a way, and it's just an enormous amount of pressure. And for some reason, when you're the screenwriter, you kind of feel like the lowest man on the upper echelon totem pole. Everybody feels like they can. There's a great analogy. Terry Rossio. I was on a panel with Terry Rossio, who's a great screenwriter, and he said, you've never seen a studio exec walk onto a set and start adjusting the camera, start messing with the camera. They would never do that. but every screaming a-hole thinks they can rewrite the script and, and mess with the script and do things to it and not ruin it. So it's it's a harder, darker business. But I mean, the reach you have I've had 4 movies open at #1 worldwide, and when that happens, so many people are seeing your work, and so many people are being affected by it. It's really it's kind of stunning to experience that and to see reviews come in from all over the world and mention dialogue that you wrote in a panic at 3:00 in the morning one day or whatever. So it's
high.
yeah, I mean, it's a cool experience. But like I say, not easy, and really takes a thick skin, and you really have to be able to take a lot of abuse to pull it off.
Yeah, and I want to mention for those at home that and I agree that maybe screenwriters don't get the due or the respect that they should get, rightly, where because it really that's the seed that grows into the film, right? Like that's where it all comes from, before the director, before the actors, before all the other things, the special effects.
Yeah, and it's not to say that those people aren't crucial. Obviously, they are. All I'm saying is the writers are equally crucial to the director, to the star, to the
Absolutely
effects or whatever, and we should all respect each other as such. But I don't know. There's a weird hierarchy in Hollywood.
So I do want to mention too that you won a Saturn Award for best writing for X-Men. I mean,
it's the gold one now.
You know, as well as being nominated for X2, for Watchmen. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment, and at a time where superhero movies weren't even really a thing, let alone respected in cinema, because I feel like a long time it's been less than, in the hierarchy of cinema.
Oh yeah, well, and listen, the studio, we worked very closely with the president and vice president of Fox, and they thought it was going to be a disaster. I mean, they were like, we don't even know why they kept our budget down to 75 million, which sounds like a lot, but is pretty tight for a movie of that size. No, they thought it was. I'm amazed they went through with it. They were just panicked about every decision, every moment. People going to get this? Are they going to understand why there's 11 superpowered people? And I'm like, yeah, there's 50 imprints of this comic printed every month. Like, people get it, But it was their money, so it's hard to argue with their fears. But it wasn't until the movie became a hit that as you say, all of Hollywood was like, oh, well, there's all kinds of comic books. We could, there's all sorts of material we can mine here, and they figured it out, or we figured it out for them.
Right. I was gonna say you figured it out for them.
Because the people that worked on the X-Men script were me, Bryan Singer, Tom DeSanto, and a young assistant named Kevin Feige, and we were the ones who knew X-Men and
the source material.
Yeah, and we figured out how to do it in a way that respected the source material and was still fun, but still felt like had the emotional heft of a great X-Men comic. Yeah. And we took it seriously, and that sort of changed the industry.
Yeah, grounded in a way that they're not all running around in spandex fighting, silly slap Technicolor, monsters and things, but kept it very personal and very real, very gritty, very grounded. I'm curious now, because I'm sure you've seen in the news and the media, Deadpool 3 coming out soon. Images of Wolverine in the full yellow and blue. I mean,
full yellow and blue.
How do you feel? Because I want to know inside your head, like, you see this, and like Hugh Jackman is Wolverine because of the movie that you helped bring to life. And now here we are 20 plus years later, full circle. And now he's like comic book Wolverine. I mean, how do you feel seeing all this? And that there's, the rumors that like a lot of the old cast are going to be involved, and like a lot of the old Fox elements are going to be involved. Like, how does that feel for you?
Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, just as a fan, you know, I first of all, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on the internet saying, the Fox executives wouldn't let him wear the yellow suit. That's not true. Bryan Singer, the director, wouldn't allow Brian didn't want to make a comic book movie. He just wanted to make a good movie. And he goes, I don't understand why he wears yellow and blue, and Storm's wearing a bikini, and he goes, why is Wolverine, who's the toughest one, the only one wearing a mask? Like, none of this makes any sense to me. And so, me and the other guys who knew X-Men were like, because it's badass. And he's like, that's not real. That's not good enough. He goes, unless you can find uniforms that are practical, that make sense for them to wear, they're just going to be in street clothes. So that's where, Bob Ringwood, who designed Michael Keaton's Batman outfit, created those black leather uniforms for the first movie. So it's just the director trying to not be humiliated by a bad yellow and blue costume, which it might have been. We didn't have that much experience making superhero costumes at the time. So so that's what we did. And then, and the internet complained about it even then. And then the movie came out and all the books switched to the black outfits because they were like, oh my God, that totally makes sense. But now we're 20 years later, superhero movie technology is 1,000 times beyond where it was then. And the suit they made for him is clearly so badass. Like it references the yellow and blue costume and looks amazing. But at the same time, it's practical. It's like leather armor. It's got the slots for the claws. And yeah, it's really badass. And I'm so glad to see, like, I understood the point of not putting him in the yellow and blue in the first movie, but I'm so glad that we've gotten to a point now where we can do it and people just accept it. And
people are excited about it.
It's pretty damn cool.
Rob in the comments called back to that line. What do you want? Yellow spandex?
Right.
from the first movie. How great is that? But
right. We actually had somebody came in. I won't say who, but there was a writer who came in to try to rewrite me while we were doing the movie. The studio didn't have any faith in me, and they kept trying to bring in people to rewrite me. And this guy, the final scene was Wolverine. He's accepted. He's going to be living at the mansion, and Rogue comes into his room and he's sewing his yellow costume. And we were like, we're not going to end this with Wolverine knitting. Like, that's not going to happen.
He's crocheting a uniform.
Knit one, purl two, and and so the yellow almost showed up in the first movie, but it was not. We didn't have faith that would not destroy all of our careers.
Fair enough. Switching gears, another screenplay, obviously Watchmen. Switching gears. Watchmen. I mean, you wrote a 138-page screenplay adaptation to the graphic novel Watchmen, which has been hailed as one of the most accurate translations of comics to films ever written, that Alan Moore himself said David Hayter's screenplay was as close as I could imagine anyone getting to a film version of Watchmen. I mean, when you
wait, let me finish that sentence though. He did say that, and then he said, comma, that said, I shan't be seeing the movie. So
I mean, I was gonna leave that off.
But it's almost cooler that way, because it's like he didn't care they were making a movie. He didn't want them to make a movie, but he was so kind to me as a writer that he gave me that shout out in Empire magazine, which just made me want to cry. I mean, that was so, he didn't have to do that, and it just shows what an amazing, decent guy he is, and how much he respects other writers. And so so thank you, Alan.
No, I mean, that's, I can only imagine. I can only imagine, from the source itself, speaking up on your behalf. And I mean, he was a notoriously grumpy guy, so I was like, I'll leave the back part of it off. But still, it's such a huge compliment. What inspired you to adapt, these popular comic book storylines for the big screen, and how do you approach translating that from one medium to the other?
Well, In 1997, I was producing a movie called Burn, which a little tiny movie that I'm in that you can see on YouTube. And I was somebody gave me a copy of Watchmen. I had read it when it came out when I was 15. And I loved it. Somebody gave me a copy while I was shooting Burn, so I would just read it in my dressing room. And I came to the line. The psychiatrist is describing what Rorschach's going through in prison, and he tells the story about how the guy tries to shiv him in the food line, and Rorschach takes the fry oil and throws it in his face and burns the guy to death. And then he gets tackled by the guards, and he says to everybody, all the other prisoners, "None of you understand. I'm not locked up in here with you. You're locked up in here with me." And I was like, that's the greatest line I've ever heard, and it has to be in a movie. Like, I have to put that in a movie somewhere. But I was producing a $250,000 movie, and I was like, there's no way I will ever be able to work on something as big as Watchmen. Well, 3 years later, I end up by accident writing the script for X-Men. It happens to become a big hit. Then my agent said, "What do you want to do next?" And I said, "I want to do the greatest comic book movie of all time, which is Watchmen, or I want to adapt the greatest comic book of all time." And so that's how it started. I mean, it was that line. I was like, I have to do this, and it just got into my head. And then suddenly, I found myself in a position to be able to possibly make it happen. So I pitched that to my agents, and it took 9 years, 4 different studios, 4 different directors to finally get it made, and to see that line come out on screen. So it was quite a journey.
Worth it. I mean,
it was worth it.
A lot worse for you than it was for me, but I'll tell you, worth it.
It was definitely worse for me than it was for you. But every studio we went to, they wanted me to do rewrites, so they would pay me again, and so it was pretty lucrative.
Yeah, not too bad. Someone reminded me here, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, do you have any updates? Do you know anything about the MGS movie? Is that something that's, they're asking. Multiple people have asked.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with it. I don't know that there's any significant movement at the moment. I mean, I know they attached Oscar Isaac, and I thought that might move things forward. You know, the issue is that Metal Gear is big, massively expensive, and weird. And if it's not all those things, then it's not Metal Gear. So I think, so I understand why it's difficult to get it to get a green light on that. I mean, it'll probably cost $250 million at least, and you got to have all the Metal Gear weirdness. You got to, I mean, it's a hugely difficult thing to pull off. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have the information you guys have, but I do know the industry, and it doesn't sound like it's moving too quickly. But I could, you know, who knows? They could make an announcement tomorrow and say it's in production.
And it's one of those things that it just could take time, and sometimes taking time is for the better, right? I mean,
indeed.
If Watchmen had came out 20 years ago, it would be a very different movie, you know, or
well, it's funny. I got to meet Sam Raimi at one of these shows. I mean, I had met him before, but I reminded him who I was, and he was so kind to me. And he's like, "Oh my God, you've written some great movies." And we talked about Watchmen, and he said, you know, because I feel like Watchmen coming out in 2009 was too early. You know, like if it came out now, with all the comic book movies that we've seen and all the weird things, you know, we've seen Logan, we've seen Deadpool, we've seen all these things. He's like, I think now the audience would be completely ready for it. And at the time, it sort of stunned them. You know, it was a little overwhelming and strange, but and I thought that was a good point as well.
But it had to be of its time. I really want to respect your time. We've already, I mean, it's been almost an exact hour. There's so much more I want to ask you about, because your career is just so huge, and you work on Scorpion King and all these different things. Let me ask you 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll let you go. I know in my reading that at one point, and this is just around the time of X-Men, just before or just after, that you were actually working on a draft for a Black Widow movie, and that you were so passionate about the character in that world that your daughter is named Natasha after Agent Romanoff.
That's
I don't
right.
know. I don't know how true that is, but again, based on the
Absolutely
internet.
true. Well, yeah. I mean, the truth is, yeah, I was attached to write and direct the Black Widow movie with Lionsgate in 2004, and then my daughter was born in 2004, and I had a meeting with Marvel the next day with Kevin Feige and Avi Arad, and I showed them pictures of my little girl, and Avi says, it's like, "Oh, David, she's so beautiful. Like, what is her name?" And I said, "She doesn't have one yet." And he goes, "What about Natasha? It's a beautiful name." And because we were in the middle of story conversations about Natasha Romanoff, so I was like, "Well, sure. If it gets the movie made, I'll name her Natasha." And so, and I thought it was a nice name, and so, so I named her Natasha, and they canceled the movie anyway.
I'm curious if that comes to life, if it comes to fruition, what was the story? What was that Black Widow movie like?
The story was she's it started out in the Soviet Union, and she was training in the Red Room. She's like a little girl. She's, we see her from the time she's like 8 to 12 or whatever. She's training. They're turning her into a killing machine, and I also had a thing where they were like replacing her tendons with like insect replica tendons, so she's super fast, like a spider and all that stuff. And then and it was basically a James Bond movie with a super spy girl. And so the Soviet Union fell apart. She grows up. There's all these loose nukes in all the former Soviet republics, and something goes wrong, and she's forced to go back. And eventually, it leads her back to the Red Room. And so and she confronts the demons of her past, and so on and so forth. But my favorite part about it was, along the way, she's got people like Indiana Jones, like people she meets that get her a plane, or some informant or whatever. And there's this other spy who's on a job that you think is separate, but is really tied in. And his name was Anton, and he was a slick British spy. And I was dying to cast David Bowie to play that part. And that was going to be my dream, was to direct David Bowie in a movie. But sadly, the movie fell apart and didn't happen.
If just theoretically, we're just hypothesizing, if it were to come true, who did you see in your mind's eye? 2004 Black Widow.
I was Jessica Biel was our choice at the time.
I could see that.
So she was the prime. I mean, there were other people we talked about, but
sure.
But she sort of embodied it for me in 2004, and I thought she would be great.
Outstanding. Oh God, if I mean, Scarlett Johansson's done a fine job with the character.
Scarlett Johansson's amazing. I think she was 6 at the time, so I don't know. That would have worked out.
I'm just saying, she's done a great job with the character. But anyway, we've held you up long enough. Again, so much more. Maybe we have to get you for a part 2 at some point, because I want to talk about the Scorpion King. You voice King Shark in the Flash series for a number of episodes.
That's right. Where's the Flash?
I mean, come on, like you've done so much. There's so much amazing stuff we can talk about. But the last thing I'll leave is we need to know your social media, where people can find you, and maybe anything coming up that you want to promote. I know Warrior Nun is huge. I mean, let us have it. Let us have it all.
Yeah, so, well, a few of the things that I'm doing, I just had a game called Synapse for the PSVR 2 come out, which is pretty kick-ass. That's me and Jennifer Hale, and you get to infiltrate my brain and fight the military demons of my mind. So that one's pretty cool. I wrote and was an executive producer on the show Warrior Nun, which was canceled, but now the rumor is we're getting resurrected, which is appropriate for Warrior Nun. So keep an eye out for that, and if you haven't seen the show, I mean, check out the first 2 seasons on Netflix, because very proud of that show. The actors, the stunt work, the writers, everybody put so much into it. And Simon Barry, our showrunner, we put a lot of love into that show, and the action sequences are astounding, particularly for the size of show that we have. So that'd be good. What I don't think I can tell you about that one yet. Just recorded another video game, but that one's probably still secret.
Damn it. That's got-
And I'm going to be starring in a short film called Chopper, which there's little things about that on the internet. You can find me sadly still at Twitter at David B. Hayter, and on Instagram at the-David-Hayter. And those are my two for the moment. So come and say hello or yell snake at me or whatever you'll do. And beyond that, I'm just making my way. I've got a TV show that I sold and a movie that I've sold that I really am very excited about. So can't talk about them yet, but they will be on the way, and I think you're gonna dig them.
Oh, it's so awesome, guys. We just talked to Snake, to the legend, man, David Hayter.
Wow. I so appreciate you having me, and I'm afraid the reality is no match for the legend, but I really thank you so much for doing what you do. Thank you to all our members of the military out there. As I say, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I hope to meet you all one day. And thank you again for having me.
Yeah, check out your local conventions. Look out for David. You had so many people looking. Like, I watched as I was passing by, and it's the engagement with the fans. And again, other questions I wanted to ask just about convention experiences and all that. But we'll save it.
Well,
for
let's
another
do it
time.
again. Let's set up.
Absolutely.
Save the questions, and then I'm like I say, I'm going to go to Portugal. I'm going to dive in the volcano and chase the sharks, and then when I get back, we'll do this again. We'll do another hour. I'd love to.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the incredible David Hayter. I'm going to toss it to a break. I'm going to say goodbye to my guest, blow him virtual kisses and all that stuff. But we'll be right back after this with more Pop Culture Warrior. See you after the break.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me And if I told you everything, I bet you cry and run away. 'Cause
watching Pop Culture Warrior. The force is strong. They have the high ground.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm going to go ahead and bring back out of the box, bring back Mad Mike, ladies and gentlemen. Yay.
Yay. Just a box.
I'm in the box. Man, what a phenomenal dude. What a history. And for him to just be like, I'm just a guy. I'm like, bitch, you changed the course of gaming history. You changed the course of comic book movie history. Like, I mean, this man has his fingerprint on some of the biggest, tent poles of pop culture in history. Like, how do you just play it off like me? It's just a job.
Well, it's either that or you could be a dick like Joey Fantone.
Joey's fat one. Yeah.
Fat guy from Insane.
Yeah, fat one. Yeah, no. Pete says, giveaway time? No, not giveaway time. Not yet. No, for the Metal Gear Solid prize, we're gonna do, I think that's Thursday at noon. We're gonna do a quick live, and then and that's how we'll choose the thing at random. Heath says Mad Mike needs a handlebar mustache, and I am inclined to agree.
Yeah, everyone needs one of those.
Who doesn't need just,
Right?
dude, just take people for mustache rides.
If I win the lotto, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna get a monocle and a top hat too.
Why if I win the lotto, then I'm gonna have a handlebar mustache?
Because you gotta have money to have a handlebar mustache. It's just weird if you're broke.
Wait, no. Are you like, okay, which one's the handlebar? Because now I'm thinking I'm wrong. Because I thought the handlebar was the one that comes out and then straight down, but like no chin. So something
I
like
thought
this.
it was the one that goes like this. I don't know.
No, isn't it like not the like the one like the evil, the guy that ties people up on the train tracks, not the one that you're like,
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I thought handlebar was the one that like it looks like handlebars, like you can just grab on and. Man, now I have to Google.
I'm not big on. I'm not a mustache expert.
He's not a facial hair guy, guys. He tries and it's just patchy, It's
this shit grows in full, but
he's just too lazy to.
Can't wear a gas mask if you have a beard.
All right, the handlebar. Oh, but see, I see both. I see both.
Right?
I just Googled, and there's the fancy with the little twirly, but then there's the one that looks like the biker. Or the Tiger King is a handlebar mustache. The Tiger King. It was blonde, but remember, it was down and then straight down. That's a handlebar mustache. I don't know. We can ask. There's a grooming guy, or that's a Fu Manchu. That's a Fu Manchu. No, the Fu Manchu. I thought it was the one that like went all the way down. I don't know, man. I don't know. No, yeah, I think you were right. It's the big. I guess that it would look like bike. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
I was right. I'm always right.
Who fucking threw that ring in, and now we completely
so easily sidetracked.
so ADHD, like fucking up Googling
Talk
Tiger
about pop
King.
culture and
how did I end up on Tiger
men's
King?
grooming.
Anyway, I did have one more story. I know like everybody's probably gonna leave, whatever, but I did have one more story. Just because
we got two less people than we had before.
Some breaking news involved, but DC we know is going through a change. We know The Flash absolutely bombed, which again wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a bad movie.
It was expected to bomb. Well, I expected it to bomb.
Sure,
Like every
you
DC
expect
movie.
everything to bomb. No, it wasn't a bad movie. I think the CGI was there were just some really bad choices with CGI for sure. But story wise wasn't bad, and for nostalgia wise wasn't bad, and had a lot of interesting concepts and where it could have went. I think what killed it is the Ezra Miller drama all over the place. That hurt it real bad, and then B, the shakeup at DC where everybody knows, well, this doesn't fucking matter. This movie has no implication into what's coming. And I think a lot of people are just checked out. They're like, why? It's like going like, oh, my favorite show is getting canceled. Like, well, then why watch it anymore? Like, why even? Who cares? So yeah.
Well,
I go ahead.
And it's like DC just threw it out because it's like, we made it. It was
Yeah.
sitting here. Let's put it out and get what we can for it.
It was, 3 years overdue, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
But anyway, with that, we know we are ushering in the new DC, which again, it's weird because the next thing, like, well, they have Aquaman on the back burner. I don't know what they're gonna do with that.
No, to scrap that with the other movie that no.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. But we do know Blue Beetle is on the horizon, which looks okay. Looks okay. I mean, it looks very Marvel. If I'm being honest, it looks very Marvel.
It's basically like a Iron Man kind of ripoff.
Yeah, it's if you ordered Marvel from Wish, like that's what you're that's what you're getting. Which whatever.
But they got, and then the other thing is the good one is the Batman too, which it's kind of weird because they're setting up the new universe, but they haven't even written the script really for the next movie. So it's like, why?
And the other Joker. Remember, they're also filming Joker Duex or Jola Do, whatever the fuck they're calling it, with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn. So anyway, my point was, with the new DC coming in with James Gunn saying, we're going to blaze a whole new path. We're going to start from fresh. Somehow, even though Blue Beetle was part of the old regime, it will be technically the first movie in the new DC lineup because it's going to be part of the new DC universe. Long story short, the whole point of this was that the first of James Gunn's movies from scratch, because like I said, Blue Beetle will fold into the new DC universe, but his first movie of the DC universe line of under James Gunn is going to be Superman Legacy. Again, I don't know why the need for the name. I don't know why Superman Legacy. Whatever, dude. These guys do things their own way. Whatever. We got the announcement. They finally announced who they had cast for both Superman and Lois Lane. So for the audience at home, let's bring up. Here's our Superman. This is David Cornsweet. I don't know if it's Cornsweet or Cornsweet. Cornsweet? I don't know. Fucking names. What happened to Smith and Bob? And I don't know. Everybody gotta have these hard names. What happened to good old fashioned names like CQ? So David Cornsweet, I'm gonna go with that, has been cast as the new Man of Steel. I'm trying to remember what stuff he has done. What would he be? What would he be known
like
for?
Something, I don't know. It was something that like I didn't even know. Well, I don't know a lot of stuff.
Cornsweet. Let's see. Cornsweet. What is
Cornsweet?
I mean, right? Isn't that what it is? Cornsweet? Is it Cornsweet? I don't know. He began guest starring in television series including The House of Cards. He then played lead roles in the Netflix series The Politician and Hollywood. So there you go.
Any of those.
Politician, Hollywood, Pearl, We Own This City, stuff like that. Anyway, so
is that Joey Fatone? Fat one.
Is that Joey Fat One? No. But what I found interesting is for them to be like, hey, you know, we're done with Henry Cavill, we're going with a new direction, whatever. Like if you end up putting them like side by side, he looks like a young Henry Cavill. Like,
Yeah.
but then again,
Before
I
he started
mean,
working out.
yeah, and then I'm like, but then again, like if you're saying, well, we want an all-American, square chin jawed, blue-eyed, like, I mean, I guess they're all gonna kind of look alike, you know.
They're all gonna look the same. Yeah, true.
Yeah. So fair enough. They kind of look alike, but I don't know. I could see it. I could see Man of Steel. Again, we're not going with a traditional origin story. Apparently, from what the insiders are saying, that it will be a starting point for his Superman, but not necessarily an origin story. And he's going to be coming into a world where superheroes already exist. So it's not one of those stories where like, I'm Superman and I'm the only superpowered being. Like he will be coming into a world that exists superheroes. So on top of that casting, which I'm like, you know, sure, whatever. We got this casting, which this one I was like, okay, I'm
Right?
intrigued. And it's
Yeah.
Rachel, was it Brosnahan? Rachel Brosnahan will be playing Lois
Maisel.
Lane. Yes, her name's
Maisel.
Maisel. The everybody knows her as the Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is an incredible show, by the way. Totally great show. And talk about going from one big hit to another. She's leaving that show, and she will be Lois Lane.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's a great. That's how how she acts in that show and sounds
Yes,
is how
exactly.
I pictured Lois Lane when I read the comic books. Like
exactly.
I think that was really good. I never
Couldn't
heard of the
agree
other
more.
guy, but then again, I don't watch a lot of shit on Netflix because it's shit.
Couldn't agree more with the first part of your sentence. And I think all she needs, like from the Mrs. Maisel character to Lois Lane, I think you take a little bit of the homemaker out and then add in a little bit more like street toughness kind of. And I think you're right there. I think literally it's a sidestep of a character. Like it's not a big change. You know, a little less Susie Homemaker, a little more G.I. Jane, you know what I mean? And you got a pretty badass character. And I think, like you said, they nailed it. They knocked it out of the park. Now, when I say up to the minute, because this was actually announced a couple days ago, literally minutes before I went live, breaking news, they announced a few more casting for Superman Legacy, including, and I don't even have pictures because I didn't have time to grab it, but they added Isabella Merced will be playing Hawk Girl. Edie Gathegi, I think is how you pronounce it, as Mr. Terrific. And for the love of God, they hired Nathan Fillion to play Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, which is, you know, Guy Gardner is one of the most hated Green Lanterns of all time. So I think hiring Nathan
Fillion is
nailed it.
He always plays a dick.
I want him to wear like the orange bowl cut. Like they have to, like with the freckles, like they got to go heavy, lean heavy into it. And it's interesting, right? Because we do know from, you know, James Gunn announced like his kind of first couple DC projects, the Green Lantern Corps is a part of that line. So to have Guy Gardner appear in this movie, and I don't think they're going to have big roles. I don't think they're going to be huge parts of the story.
They'll probably kill him and then they'll get they'll go to another Green Lantern.
Yeah. That's
Nathan Fillion. He just does one like short thing and that's it.
They bring him when they want a recognizable guy that they could kill. They go to Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
that's him and was it Sean Bean are like the two most recognizable guys that die in every single thing they do.
And they've been in a bunch of crap.
Yeah. So huge projects, small roles, die immediately. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I am maybe it's that I'm an eternal optimist, which I know you hate about me. Maybe that's what it is. But I think James Gunn knows what he's doing. I think he's got a plan. I think You know, he's going to do just enough Marvel style, but in his James Gunn way, if that makes sense. And I think it'll work for DC. I think it'll
Yeah.
work.
Any kind of direction. Any kind of direction, like a plan, even if it's written on a napkin and it's like loosely based, will help them out tremendously.
It's
so
on a
it's
bathroom
a
stall
giant
wall.
step forward. He's
Like,
got like, oh, here's the plan, guys. I can't wash this hand.
Like, everybody come into the Chili's bathroom. It's right here. I was taking a shit, and I in lipstick for some reason I drew it all out. You know, come in, guys. We're gonna talk about it. But no, yeah, I think,
and he did great with Guardians. So yeah, I think,
Yeah.
and then the
Suicide
John
Squad.
Cena show and
Peacemaker.
Suicide Squad.
Yep.
So I think
Yeah.
he'll do fine. It's going to be leaps and bounds better than anything we've seen so far besides the Batman. That's like the best thing they've done. But
Yeah. And like, I just, part of me thinks that it was the right choice, for multiple reasons. A, obviously Superman being the quintessential DC character. Like, him and Batman are the pillars of DC. So it makes sense you want to come out with your strongest character. But also, DC has been known of the last like 20 years to be the dark, brooding company. So lead with your shining light. Lead with your post, like your Captain America, basically, your God level Captain America. Be cheerful, be different, make a stamp of like, this is the world that we are now. You can do dark, you can do brooding, you bring in Batman, be dark, which I even think they're going like Batman Brave and Bold. Like, I think they're going, again, you know, Batman's always a dark whatever character, but you can do it in
it's
a
more vibrant type, I
you
guess,
know,
out of all of them.
You can do a version that he's not. You don't want to slit your throat halfway through the movie. You know, you don't have to do goth emo Batman. But again, it's
parents got killed. Of course, it's gonna be sad. Excited. My parents are dead.
But he's a billionaire.
Not make him Richie rich in this bitch.
But he's so rich. He's so rich. How many characters lose a mom or a dad and they poor as shit, they still turn out fine, yet the bajillionaire is going to turn into whatever. Whatever, man. Spider-Man lost his Uncle Ben, okay? And you didn't see him...
half my uncles. Why the guy's upset? Like, no, like, what?
Oh, God,
Uncle who?
Jesus.
When did we ever meet them? No.
Anyway.
His parents died.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Yeah, Spider-Man's parents died. But like, they died. But that's my point. They died like when he didn't really know them. So it was more impactful when Uncle Ben died because that's the guy that raised him. You know, come on, man. Come on.
Should have went in the cave with spiders.
So, Spider Cave.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I something tells me that this will be. I mean, obviously, it's clearly a good step for DC. I think it's a step in the right direction. Whether it is beloved and accepted worldwide is left to be seen. I think we won't really know. You know what I think is going to be? First images with the suit on. I think is going to be a really, really clear indicator of both the direction they want to go, tonality of the film, and whether or not it's look at the reaction when the Wolverine picture came out. That tells you all you need to know. And then, you know, let's see when they release the Superman picture and if people are going to be like, oh, shit, like that is amazing. Or is it going to be like,
it'll be
it's a guy in a suit.
Superman is like beloved by so many people. Like people that like never even read the comic, they'll have like a Superman tattoo.
Sure.
So it'll make, either way, it'll make a bunch of money regardless.
Let's see.
I mean, people go watch Fast and Furious, so they'll definitely see this.
What kind of people go watch Fast and Furious?
Well, I don't want to insult people, but
I
no,
mean,
a
go
little
by
lower
all means.
on,
You're you
lower
don't
on
got
the
any
pay
friends here.
scale.
So, okay, so looking at this,
Some people like licking windows.
some people like eating paint. I mean, it's just, everybody's got a thing, you know. Everybody's got a thing. You ever watch
Same
those?
people that like Fast and the Furious.
You know, watch the people like they eat the fluff out of a couch cushion. Like people like things. I
Yeah,
mean,
what do you think they're watching while they're eating that?
they take their favorite pillow to the theater.
Family.
Go to town. Uh, so you brought up a point that I was curious. Looking at franchises, box office returns, specifically Superman. So the highest grossing product where Superman was in the movie was Batman v Superman.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like, even when I saw the preview, I was like, nah, pass.
Yeah. And that was 330 million, which, man, as a lifetime gross is not a lot for such a big deal.
Yeah, but you gotta, how accurate is that? Because the first three came out in like the 70s with Christopher Reeves, and you're
Sure.
like, yeah, it probably made whatever 30 million,
I
but
can
how
tell
much
you.
is that equal to today's, like, to that movie?
Right.
Same.
And here's your point too. To your point, Superman, the OG Superman, Christopher Reeves, 1978, is the fourth highest grossing Superman appearance. Literally. Only 134 million. But to your point, only opened, or I'm sorry, not even opened, only at a time was in a max of 800 theaters. That's
Wow.
it. Compare that to Batman and Superman, which was in nearly 5,000 theaters. So that's saying something.
Easily would have made a whole bunch more if it,
when it opened,
reached more audiences.
This was it. When it opened, Superman was only in 500 theaters. It was so popular they added more theaters to it. When it opened, it was only in 500 theaters in the world. 500. And it made the fourth highest for a Superman property. Compare that to 4,242 when Batman v Superman opened, and it made 330. So it made just about double, but with quick math, less than a quarter of the theaters. So Superman, the original, made half lifetime of what Batman v Superman in less than a quarter of theaters in the fucking late 70s.
Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation, that's probably 200 million. Something close to that. So
that's pretty good. But I mean, the bar's pretty low for the next one. What was 2 and 3?
So it goes Batman v Superman. It goes Man of Steel, which is the first of the new DCEU. And then it goes Superman Returns at 200 million. So that was the Brandon Routh Superman.
Wow, that was number 3.
Number 3.
Everyone ripped on that one. Everyone's like, this movie's
Made
terrible.
Made 200 million, just over 200 million. So yeah, I mean,
bar's pretty low there. Just
saying. Yeah. DC Extended Universe. I just look. This is fascinating, man. It's like when you actually stop and look, it's fascinating. Now for some reason they're not putting the Justice League movies in any of. Well, nope, nope. There it is. Oh my God. Well. Okay, so here's fascinating. DC Extended Universe, the DCEU, the Zack Snyder DC Universe. Lifetime. If you had to guess what was the number 1, number 2, number 3 lifetime gross for the DC universe? What movies you got? I would have never got this. I would never.
Aquaman, probably. That made a lot.
Second highest
Second highest.
of all the DC. In a world where you have Batman and Superman movies, Aquaman was the second highest.
Number 2, yeah. And
Number
what
2.
was the first one? The Justice League Black?
No, Justice League Black. What?
Whatever they called it.
No.
Stupid
The Snyderverse
direct
cut. You mean
Snyder cut,
Yeah,
whatever.
that doesn't even count because it wasn't released in theaters, so that doesn't even count.
I don't remember what else they had. I just blacked all that out. Justice
Wonder
League.
Woman. Wonder
Oh
Woman.
yeah, because they copied. It was Captain America.
It
They
was.
just copied the
I
formula.
mean, honestly, it was the best DC universe movie. Honestly, so it goes Wonder Woman, and again, it boggles my mind when you actually look at the lifetime gross of these films. Wonder Woman, 412 million. Lifetime, 412. Like when you're talking about like Marvel bases their movies
the worst like Marvel movie was like, I don't know, 700 million,
Yeah.
800 million.
It's funny to me. Marvel bases, was it a success? Did they hit $1 billion? That's it.
Yeah.
They're like, did it hit $1 billion? Like, oh well, I mean, it was 800 million. It's a shit movie.
Nah.
You're either in the billion club or you're not. And Wonder Woman, the highest grossing DC universe of movie of all time, 412.
And they were like, let's make another one at that price. Marvel would have been like, no, we're not even going to put it on Disney Plus.
And you want to, dude, you want to talk about, okay, get ready for this. You're going to love this. What is the lowest lifetime gross of the DC universe? Should be an easy guess.
Lantern?
No, that wasn't part of the Zack Snyder universe. That was before it.
Justice League.
No, Justice League's great. Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, 84. Yeah, part 2.
Yeah.
That. Well, you think that's also because didn't they release it to streaming?
Well,
and shit?
that was
during COVID.
That was during COVID. Yep, it was December. I mean, late during COVID because it was December 2020.
And
so
it
it
suck,
was
but
in
still,
theaters.
It was like COVID, and then it went to streaming like 30 days later or some shit.
Yeah. Well,
that was what they did to HBO.
That's the
and
HBO
in the
thing.
theater.
But okay, to your point, so let's look at the timeline. Wonder Woman 1984, December of 2020, right? Towards the back end of COVID. Go to February 2020. Beginning of that year, Birds of Prey made double its money. Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey made $84 million. Wow. Wonder Woman 1984, lifetime gross, $46 million.
Wow.
Jeez. I don't even want to know how much it cost them to make that movie. Because that's a
way more than that.
A fraction of the price. But how do you go from the #1 lifetime gross movie in the DC universe to dead last? By
they
a
couldn't
lot.
copy. Well, they can't do Captain America 2.
Fall
It'll
of
be too
Hydra.
obvious.
Wonder Woman 84, the fall of Hydra. the summer assassin. Like, wait, what?
Civil War. Like, what?
What? I think you're showing. Dude, it opened to $16 million. Oh.
That's sad. It's like you just lost a shit ton of money. They probably paid the what's her name like 10 million. You paid Pedro 10 million.
Yeah, that didn't even cover
20 million right there.
Marketing for that movie.
For catering was probably 5 million.
But yeah, so as far as the top, it goes Wonder Woman at 412, Aquaman 335. Batman v Superman 330, Suicide Squad 325, and Man of Steel 291. Justice League, their version of Avengers, doesn't even crack the top 5 highest grossing film.
I wonder what. Let me Google it real quick. I
Like,
wonder what
that's
Black Widow made because that came out.
yeah, that came out right around the same time. But yeah, And just as I'm looking at these numbers, something that I'm impressed about, looking at opening versus lifetime gross, you know, a lot of these movies, they open at 100+ million, right? Because that's when it's the highest peak. And then, they get another 200 million, 300 million. Aquaman opened at 67 million, which is incredibly low. One of the lowest in the list, yet still made it up on the back end enough that it's second lifetime highest. You know what I mean?
Because everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta go
Yeah.
see it.
Well, you gotta
Momoa's
go
so
see
sexy."
shirtless Momoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like watching Magic Mike. It's the same shit.
Oh man.
So Black Widow, which was released same time,
Yeah.
which probably was one of the lower earning Marvel movies.
Oh, for sure.
379 million.
379, yeah. That would have made it the second
Blew the
highest
shit out of
DC, second highest DC movie if you put it into DC universe. That's the second
not
highest.
including the lawsuit money they had to spend.
Yeah, but then when you compare that to the Marvel movies, Black Widow is the 27th
Really?
all-time highest. 27th. And that was, like you said, around the same time. A little bit later because it was July of 21 versus, Wonder Woman, which was December of 2020. But still, it would have been the second highest DC. It is the 27th Marvel movie, according to the box office.
How they stay in business. I don't get it. It's
There's
just
a
loss
reason they're
after
going
loss.
through,
They
yeah.
have really good tax attorneys and accountants over there. Like, we're writing all this shit off.
Oh man. Oh dude, that's so
We
cool.
send all that stuff to Planet Hollywood.
Yeah. So no man. Hey, this has been an absolute blast. We've kept you all way past your bedtime. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how it all plans out. You know what I mean? I wish sometimes I wish I could.
Up. It can only go up from where they're at now. That's what's good about it. You can only get better. You can't get any worse. And Joel Schumacher died, so it can't get any worse. They start putting nipples on stuff and bring back Val Kilmer.
Bring back Tim Burton. Bring back Tim Burton to do a DC movie.
Hell yeah, man.
What are you gonna lose? What are you gonna lose, right?
Well, he's doing Beetlejuice, which that'll be interesting.
That'll be interesting. So with that, guys, we have reached the end of this fabulous episode of Pop Culture Warrior. Looking ahead, we currently don't have a guest next week, but I have a sneaky suspicion someone might pop in. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But we've got some really, really cool stuff coming up. Some different stuff, right? Because, I love, doing the actors. I love doing the comedians. But I like to mix it up sometimes. So I have a good friend of mine who has been a Star Wars artist where he's drawn covers for comics. Remember the old the cards? You buy the pack of cards, and then there'd be like an artist card. So he's done a bunch of those, which I have one. You can't see it, but it's back there in the background. I'll bring it up next time. But he's done just a number of stuff. He does panels at all the conventions. So he's done, I think we were talking, he's done 90 different Star Wars panels interviewing the different legends in Star Wars. So he's going to have a ton of stories to tell. He's also has a veteran owned and operated company called Norse Legion. It's like Norse Viking gear, but veteran incorporated. So it's pretty cool. It's really cool stuff. He wants to do like even a sponsored giveaway. So we'll give away some gear and shit like that. So that'll be fun. I have an interview coming up with a kind of like a daytime soap opera. Like he's been doing it for like 30 years. He's like one of the biggest villains in daytime soap operas. So that'll be a different, something different, interesting to talk about. And then also have somebody that me and you bumped into once, long time ago. I bumped into him recently and we were chatting. He is the CEO, the head honcho of Zenescope Comics. So for those that know Marvel, DC, Image. Zenescope is closely climbing the ranks of one of the biggest comic book companies in the world. And so he's going to come on and talk about the company and all the different things. And then I've got a few other surprises that we're working, including a return. Everybody remembers 6 Days in Fallujah, which has been getting rave reviews. Tons of people are streaming it and playing it. We're going to bring back the CEO behind the company of the game and talk about the game and what's been going on. So a lot of cool, interesting, different stuff. And of course, we'll be bringing back more actors, more voice actors, comedians and whatnots, doing more giveaways. Lots more conventions coming up. Myself and Mad Mike will be at New York Comic Con coming up in October. So that'll be a fun time. We're going to shoot a bunch of content out there for that. So yeah, man, lots going on, lots coming up, lots to do, lots to see. I want to thank you all for hanging out with us, for shooting the shits with us. Other guys will be coming on. Yes, Pete from Grooming and Reviews will be there as well. No, Heath Stanley will not be coming on the show.
That would be weird. What are we going to do? Have a skeleton on it?
Not sure where he's buried. I guess if I tried hard enough, we could get him on the show. But
illegal, but
they're getting in a little bit of trouble.
Weird.
Rest in peace. R.I.P. Todd McFarlane, funny enough, I've met him a couple times.
He is a dick.
He's
yeah, I've met him and he was a total dick to me. So fuck you, Todd McFarlane. If you want to fight, I'll fight you.
Oh, real quick.
And the guy from The Walking Dead is a dick too. So, screw
which
him.
one? Oh,
the writer for the comic book.
Oh, Kirkman.
Kirkman.
Yeah, he is. Somebody, I bumped into somebody that when I was at Contractors. I forgot to mention a good buddy of ours,
Manu Bennett,
who is you know him from Arrow.
My soul, that guy.
Deathstroke, Arrow. He was in Spartacus and a bunch of other things.
Did he ask you where the handsome guy with the big chin was?
That's the only thing we talked about. No,
where's that guy with one leg with the big chin? He was raped him with my eyeball.
I tried to, man. One day we got to tell that story for the audience. We got to really tell them what happened. But I couldn't wrangle him for an interview. His line was always busy. And every time, I would see it die down, I would run over and, he was gone. Apparently, he had his whole family. Apparently, he took them out to lunch and whatever. But so every time, he was cool. He was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But then every time, the line would die down, he was gone. So we didn't get a chance to meet there. But I'm going to try to get him on the show because, boy, howdy, do we have a story to tell. Because, man.
Need answers. Need some answers.
He did a number on you. You've never been the same since that day. You've never been the same. I mean, how far inside of you was he? He was
so deep.
He was so deep. He was so deep. You guys were one. It was just there was no. It was just one man. All right. With that, we've reached the end of another phenomenal episode of Pop Culture Warrior. For those of you that have been here forever, you know the spiel. For those of you that maybe don't, maybe somebody's watching on Kick. We have a number of shows across WTF Nation Radio. And here's a look at those shows right now. We have on Sunday nights, you can find The Sports Bar, whether it's on WTF Nation Radio or if you're on Kick, you can go check out The Sports Bar. They have their own page. Monday is the Monday edition. Obviously, that's where they talk about news and commentary and discussions, all about what's happening in the world of the day. Tuesdays, right here, Pop Culture Warrior. Find us all over on social media as well as on Kick. We've got The Smoke Pit on Wednesdays with our former co-host, Radar, who put on his big boy pants, and now he's his own show with the phenomenal TZ. It's a great show. It's very chill, fun time had by all. Thursdays is Sergeant's Times. If you're still in, that's the show you want to be at. Learn what's going on with the ranks of the day. I hear they're going back to the old PFT, AFPFT or APFT, whatever the fuck it's called.
Not surprised
because all the fat bodies can't handle it. So They have to go back to the old easy stuff, but we'll see how that goes. Fridays, tune in for Kaz and Pookie on Friday Night Freedom. That's where you get your weekly dose of freedom, all in one convenient package. So that's the shows here at WTF Nation Radio. We are happy to be putting on something. Mad Mike, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you had fun, buddy.
Oh, nah.
You almost said I always do. You
I
almost
did.
You
I was like,
said it.
I almost gave you a compliment. Damn it, tricked me.
I'm gonna get it one day. I'm gonna get it out of you one day. Nah. It's okay. Anything for the folks at home? Any wise words of wisdom?
Go to bed. Got work tomorrow.
Drink water. Go to bed.
Yeah, hydrate. Change your socks. Go to bed.
Man. I will. And for some of those out there, they're gonna like this. I will end this show with something my old first sergeant used to tell me. Don't eat Cheetos and beat off because it'll turn your dick orange. Good night, everybody.
Solid advice.
Shots.
Doc! Oh, no! We're too late! We missed it! Oh, jeez, this is heavy. Wait a minute, Doc, I got a time machine. I'm just gonna punch in the coordinates. Pop Culture Warrior, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WTF Nation Radio. Now crank this bad boy up to 88 miles per hour.
Let's see it.